Aren't you just a sweetheart? Here's a genuine question for you as we get the show started today. Do you think that when life goes back to normal, if it does, do you think that we are going to have a societal revolution? Are we going to act differently in public? When we get to go back to concerts and ball games and all that, will there be more polite interactions between people? Will we be more conscientious of personal space and bubbles? Will we be more conscientious about cleaning up after ourselves, etc.? Or do you think we're going to go right back to the same old gross, nasty, and rude that so many people were before the Rona?
I would say that the last thing you said is already started. I mean, have you been on Woodruff Road? You haven't. You haven't had a reason to, but Woodruff Road is Woodruff Road again. And the rudeness that happens down in the street is happening. So I have to believe that, the stores and things like that from the thing. It's hard for me to judge on some because I'm not the guy that goes to the store all the time and all that. I mean, I will have my shopping days. These T-shirts don't happen by accident. Just saying. So I will have my shopping days, but for the most part, I never went to a whole lot of places anyway. Why? Because of rudeness and all that kind of stuff. And yes, society will go back to what it was. I would say it probably get a little bit worse. When restrictions are totally lifted, there are those out there who will just go totally crazy going, I might even show up places naked and things. It's a good possibility.
All right, lots of stuff to get to on the show today. Obviously, we've got our Sweet 16 coming up this weekend. We're going to go ahead and you ahead to our regional semi-final matchups. In fact, we're on the show. Going to power rank the 16 remaining teams in the tournament. I'll tell you who I think has the best chance, and I will rank those through 1 through 16. We've got a ton of other things that we need to get to on the program as well. Zion Williamson last night scored 20 points for the 21st consecutive game. He spoke out about it, and it was the first time that Zion spoke at length something that had to do with himself. We're going to talk about that. Carolina Panthers discussion coming out that the Panthers do not consider Mac Jones was their number 8 pick, and if no other QB is available at that point, they may go another direction, down or a different position. I'll tell you what I think the Panthers are leaning towards doing coming in just a little while from now. And of course, South Carolina Lady Gamecocks knocking off Oregon State last night in the second round, moves them into the Sweet 16. We've got some sound from Don Staley, head coach of the Lady Gamecocks basketball team. We'll be getting you that coming up in just a few minutes as well. But before all of that, we got to do that little thing that we do to start off every single show.
Let's do lunch.
This is a very nutritious lunch. All the food groups are represented.
What in the wide world of sports is going on here? Lunch!
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's the lunch break down. Everything you know before you start talking sports. Lunch with your friends, family, coworkers, or the dog, whoever you spend your lunch break with, to the National Hockey League for item number 1. We've heard the expression in sports, Lonzo. That ref just clearly has it out for my team today. And so, in history, when someone has called into this show or any show you've hosted in the past and said to you, well, a referee clearly had it out for my team, what has your response been to them?
First, who is your team? Because if it's a certain team, they absolutely had it out for you. And yes, I completely believe that if you are a high school or a rec league team in the town, city, whatever it is of Malden, they have it out for you because those referees will throw a flag in a second.
Okay, let me clarify the question. When an NFL, NBA, NHL, MLB fan says to you, that referee clearly has it out for my team, what is your typical response?
For any team other than the New Orleans Saints, I would say no, they don't have it out for you, but they absolutely have it out for the New Orleans Saints, and they should.
Wait. You started off, and I thought, wow, Lonzo and I have bonded today more than ever before, and then you threw that little jab at the end. Well, anyway, let's exclude Lonzo from the rest of this conversation since he's apparently just got it out for everybody today, does Colonel Grudge.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm out.
Ordinarily, my response is they don't have it out for your team. Nobody cares about your team that much. Except for this happened in an NHL game last night. This is NHL official Tim Peel. Now, he has been officiating games for a very, very long time. Last night, my Nashville Predators taking on the Detroit Red Wings. He was caught on a hot mic saying this.
It wasn't much, but I wanted to get a penalty against Nashville early in.
And then the mic cut out. One more time, for those of you keeping score in the Rob Brown Show Home Edition, that would be NHL referee Tim Peel on a hot mic saying this.
It wasn't much, but I wanted to get a penalty against Nashville early in.
And then the mic cut. It wasn't much, but I wanted to give a bleeping penalty against Nashville early ...
So I hate to, and this is a legitimate question. I'm not trying to be funny or anything. Is there a chance, and you may be going this way anyway, that this is taken out of context to the point where the referee wanted to call a penalty to control the game? You know, like when they're out there and they're a little too chippy and you have to throw something right away to let them know that this is how the game is going to be called the rest of the way. Can't you look at it that way rather than thinking, well, this guy just has it out for that team?
Is it possible that there is a context that this would be under? Yes, had anything else happened, but it didn't. Right? It didn't. Maybe. Now, the second reason that it's hard to take it out of context and assume that Tim Peel did not have malicious intent is that Lonzo, and I am glad to report this story based on what we know about it, the NHL has fired referee Tim Peel. He will not work another game in the NHL after what he got caught saying on a hot mic last night. NHL Senior Executive Vice President of Hockey Operations Colin Campbell made the announcement earlier this morning saying that Peel would, quote, no longer be working NHL games now or in the future. Now, Tim Peel is 53 years old and was due to retire after the season. He's been an NHL on-ice official since October of 1999 and has officiated 1,334 games entering this season. Campbell said, nothing is more important than ensuring the integrity of our game. Tim Peel's conduct is in direct contradiction to the adherence to that cornerstone principle and that we demand of our officials and that our fans, players, coaches, and all those associated with our game expect and deserve. There is no justification for his comments, no matter the context or his intention, and the National Hockey League will take any and all steps necessary to protect the integrity of our game, end quote. Here is the context that the game came in, Lonzo, and I will let you decide if you want to keep playing fair ball here or go ahead and decide that this is a problem. With 15:04 left in the second period, Predators forward Victor Arvidsson was called for tripping Red Wings defenseman John Merrill in the offensive zone, even though replays showed that Merrill embellished his fall to help draw the call. Peel made the penalty call from around center ice. So there was about 20 to 22 feet of distance between where Peel was and where the penalty was called, and multiple replays showed that the penalty was exaggerated. With 12:42 remaining in the second period, the Nashville broadcast captured audio from Peel saying, quote, it wasn't much, but I wanted to get a blanking penalty against Nashville early, end quote. So the call was actually about a call that had already been made, and Tim Peel himself said, it wasn't much, but I wanted to get a penalty called against Nashville early, end quote. He has been fired, no longer a member of the NHL's officiating community. And all I'm going to say about it, Lonzo, is this. All right? All I'm going to say is this. For years, I have worked under the assumption that the vast majority of officials do the best they can to be unbiased, to be legit, to be down the middle in the games that they call. But I've also believed for years that there are some officials who don't do that. There are some officials who want to make themselves part of the game, want to make themselves a storyline in the game, want to impact and influence the conclusion of a game, etc. And here we have proof of at least one in the NHL, and the NHL did exactly the right thing in firing him within 12 hours of the comments being made on the hot mic that he was looking to call a penalty on Nashville early in the game, which he did.
All right, so something you said bothers me, and it's not something you said, but it's something that you were saying. Yeah, that was dumb. Anyway, so the fact that we'll get past it. The fact that he's retiring, this makes the story a totally different thing. So they knew this guy was done after this year anyway. So this is the equivalent of getting that email from management that we do from time to time where they know someone did something, but they're sending it out to everybody. You know, one of those when everybody knows who did it, but they're sending that classic manager email.
After thorough investigation.
Yeah, in the future, if you are going to be the one who clogged the second toilet in the upstairs bathroom, something like that, when we all know who it was.
Diesel.
Rise, guys. Anyway, so here's it. That's the equivalent. They knew this guy's retiring anyway, so they're making an example out of him. What he said was stupid. And I don't believe it's unusual or it's or that it doesn't happen. I believe it happens all the time. I'm sure it does. I'm sure these referees get together and say stuff like that. But I think that the NHL is just trying to make an example, knowing that. And my other question is, does he lose his retirement?
That's a good question.
Now, if he loses his retirement off of this, that's kind of messed up over saying one thing, losing your entire retirement.
I don't know that it's messed up, Lonzo, because this wasn't an oopsie-daisy. This wasn't a little tiny mistake that blew up. This is like the number one rule thing that you have to do as an official. That would be like if I came in here after a couple years on ESPN Upstate, opened a mic, and just started screaming the F-bomb over and over and over, right? You would look and go, wait a minute, was it just one mistake? Sure. Is that the only thing Rob's done of major? Yes, obviously. But it's like the number one thing not to do. It's kind of the big one, like the biggest one. And this guy broke that. I want to circle back around to this conversation because we got to get the lunch breakdown squared away. Item number 2 in the lunch breakdown, the NBA's trade deadline is inside of a couple of days away at this point. Actually, we are 1 day away. We got a bunch of rumors that are going out there that I wanted to run over very quick, and we'll get back into the details of some of them later on in the show. There's been a lot of talk that Kyle Lowry would rather head to Miami and team up with Jimmy Butler than go back to the 76ers, and apparently the Heat were looking at trying to make that happen, but the sticking point now is that in order to get Kyle Lowry, the Raptors want Chris Hero out of Miami. The 26-year-old Duncan Robinson was the initial target there, a pending restricted free agent who might get pricey. The Raptors say they prefer the 21-year-old Chris Hero on the second year of his rookie deal. Denver is still in the mix, looking to get some forward help. Aaron Gordon and Harrison Barnes have both been in trade talks, as is Aaron Gordon out of Orlando. Gordon is expected to be a Boston Celtic when it's all said and done, but there are apparently other names that are in the mix right now. Andre Drummond is likely headed to the Lakers, with LaMarcus Aldridge headed to the Heat. The Cavs and Spurs are continuing to look for trades for their good but overpriced big men. However, it's improbable they find a deal for Andre Drummond, making $28.7 million a year, or LaMarcus Aldridge. Most likely both will be bought out, and Drummond would likely head to be an upgrade over Marc Gasol, and that could be some help that the Lakers desperately need. The Lake Show outgunned undermanned last night with both AD and LeBron out. The Pelicans ran wild on them. Houston will trade Victor Oladipo, it looks like. Made it clear that he wants to be in Miami, but the Rockets have looked to trade him. The Heat have had limited interest because mainly they could sign him this summer as a free agent. The same is true with the Knicks, another team that Victor Oladipo has been linked to. So there's a couple of the trade rumors that are out there right now with NBA's trade deadline tomorrow. Also looking at Lonzo Ball from the Pelicans potentially on his way out. The trade talks from New Orleans have cooled off since then, and Lonzo is now saying that he'd like about $20 million a year if he was to be traded and signed a new contract. Remember, he's a free agent at the end of this year as well. And finally, for item number 3, we are going to take a quick break and come back here in just a second to get item number 3 for 2 reasons. Number 1, we do have new news breaking out of this Deshaun Watson story taking place in Houston. And number 2, I am going to take issue and exception with something that was posed yesterday by our compatriots on that show for men. I am going to take them to task for something that they said yesterday. That will be next. My name is Rob Brown. Lonzo's at the helm. You're listening to The Rob Brown Show right here on ESPN Upstate.
Prisma.
Yep.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your Amazon or Google smart speaker. Just say, play ESPN Upstate.
Prisma Health, right here in the Upstate. Look, you want to know when you are going to see a doctor about whatever kind of health issue you have, whether it is a issue with your joints and muscles, whether you are in the process of fighting cancer or need help with imaging. It doesn't matter what type of healthcare needs you have. You want to make sure that the healthcare network you are seeing have 2 things. Number 1, the most state-of-the-art facilities possible, so you know you have the best instruments in the game available. And number 2, you want to make sure that you have trust in them to look after your health as if it was their own. Those 2 things are exactly what you're going to get out of Prisma Health. When you go visit Prisma Health, you can choose from more than 2,400 healthcare providers across the Upstate and the Midlands, and you can be sure that you will be able to find a doctor that you trust for the health issues that you are seeking help for. 2,400 healthcare providers means that you are going to find the right doctor for you. And with the Prisma Health Network connected behind them, you can be sure that the most state-of-the-art treatments are available to and for you. To set an appointment, to find out all the services that they offer, or to find a doctor within the network, go to prismahealth.org. Prisma, Prisma health.org. You can get scheduled up there. The official doctors of the Gamecocks and Tigers want to be the official doctors for you and your team, your family. It's Prisma Health right here in the Upstate.
AutomotiveMap.com presents your ESPN.
Hello, chat. It's great to see you again. Welcome back. I can't tell if Zoe's image is frozen. No, it's not frozen. He's just making a weird face and holding it. All right, I wanted to make sure. Zoe, Saturday night, the Swamp Rabbits are having Batman night at the Bon Secours Wellness Center.
It's DC night, actually.
It is DC night, but they advertised it as Batman night. I think they know where DC butters the bread.
Yeah, they do. We had Rob Brown from Borderlands Comics and Games and South Carolina Comic-Con on the show. So Saturday, and he's they're one of the sponsors of that every year. And one of the cool things that they do is usually, and I don't know if they're doing this now, but a lot of times they will auction those jerseys off. Yep. And those jerseys are usually pretty sweet. They really are. To the point where I was having this conversation with my family, and I was like, would you wear a hockey jersey? You're not really into hockey. He's like, yeah, hockey jerseys are cool.
Hockey jerseys are cool.
And I've looked into it, and they do have a few superhero ones out there, but a lot of it is people reselling those kind of jerseys from hockey games.
The Pensacola team does a couple of comic nights every night, and they have worn Captain America. They have worn Iron Man. They have worn Batman. They have worn Superman. They have worn Wonder Woman. They've done them all. And the thing is, after they wear them, they auction them off. And even the guys that don't play or play very rarely for the team, their jerseys sell for like $500-600 when they wear those comic book edition.
Yeah, they are really, really nice. I think it was last year, maybe the year before, I was looking into possibly getting one of those, but the bids quickly got out of my range. So that's only that part. I mean, I know it's for charity too, but we also have range, and it's good to know your range, because if you go out of your range, that can cause problems for you, especially if you're married. So yeah, you don't want that happening. But yeah, those jerseys are really, really cool. I haven't been able to make it out to one of those nights because it usually happens on a Saturday night and I have to work. But if you are available to go, you should go, because it sounds really cool just to see the jerseys. The best ones I've seen so far have been Iron Man. The Iron Man jerseys are really, really cool. Look those up if you get a chance.
And also, Steven, I am not a grammar Nazi, except for when I am. Only like the really easy stuff. Like if you mess up elementary level stuff, I'm going to call you on it.
I need all the help I can get, so I'm not going to complain too much about grammar being corrected. But I've worked with someone for years who was much worse than Rob at correcting grammar. So I've been conditioned. It doesn't really bother me as much.
And by the way, Stephen, the correct way would be careful, comma, the subject of the sentence, of which be careful would identify to new, then, comma, the purveyor, then it would be Rob, comma, the purveyor of proper grammar, comma, will slight you for the use of more than 3, exclamation point.
I just want to say that I'm speaking to those who speak like me. So, those of us downtrodden by those who believe that they're smarter. I'm not saying that Rob is that guy, but you've been in that room where someone has to correct everything that you say, and it's unnecessary. So there's that. I didn't know that you were one of those people. I hadn't really noticed.
I'm really not.
Yeah,
you haven't noticed because I'm not. You don't notice things that aren't there.
Or maybe it wasn't necessary to correct me ever because I, speak perfectly. Yeah, that's what it is. Come back.
Brown Lockdown on Twitter. Tweet at The Rob Brown Show on the Upstate Sports Leader, ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is ESPN Upstate. Rob Alonzo with you. 844-GSP ESPN is the number. 844-GSP ESPN. 844-477-3776 is the number. Text us at 71307. 71307. Start your text with ESPN so we can read them on the air. So yesterday we spent some length of time on the story that is breaking out of Houston about Deshaun Watson and the either 13 or 14 now lawsuits that he is currently facing for inappropriate sexual behavior. Well, there's a couple of things that have come up real quick. The most recent story is that Rusty Hardin, the lawyer representing Houston Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson, has now spoken out. Yesterday, Hardin maintained Watson's innocence and alleged that his client is being blackmailed by at least one accuser via a lengthy statement offered to TMZ. Now, I won't read you the whole thing, but I'll read you the most important chunks of it. In it, Rusty Hardin says, quote, "I want to emphasize at the outset that we and Deshaun recognize that sexual assault and harassment are not only unlawful, but morally wrong. It takes courage for women to come forward to report being mistreated, particularly when they attach their names to a lawsuit. We do not take these allegations lightly. However, fairness to the accused is equally as important. Opposing counsel has orchestrated a circus-like atmosphere by using social media to publicize 14 Jane Doe lawsuits. during the past 7 days in a manner calculated to inflame the public and malign Deshaun's otherwise sterling reputation. In addition, the tactics of refusing our request to confidentially provide the names of the plaintiffs so we can fully investigate their claims makes uncovering the truth extremely difficult. Anonymity is often necessary as a shield for victims, but opposing counsel has used it as a sword to publicly humiliate Deshaun before the truth-seeking process can even begin. I believe that any allegation that Deshaun forced the woman to commit a sexual act is completely false. And in the one case in which we have been able to identify a plaintiff, we have strong evidence showing the allegation is false. In January of this year, a woman attempted to blackmail Deshaun by demanding $30,000 in exchange for her indefinite silence about what she stated was a consensual encounter. It is our belief this woman is the plaintiff in cause number blah, 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 blah. This calls into question the legitimacy of the other cases as well. We have received numerous unsolicited comments in the past week from many licensed massage therapists who have worked with Deshaun in recent years. These women describe him as a gentleman and a model client who never engaged in inappropriate conduct. Indeed, before these salacious claims, everyone who associated with Deshaun described him as an outstanding, respectful, and compassionate man. Again, we are taking the allegations very seriously, but we ask only that people not rush to judgment, that people not be unduly influenced by opposing counsel's antics, and that they let fundamental fairness to both sides rule the day. Thank you for your patience and understanding, end quote. So that is the response from Deshaun Watson's attorney. We also had a story that broke out in European soccer not too long ago, where a very well-known soccer player, it was reported by an Instagram model, had been offered a lot of money. The model had been offered a lot of money to have a sexual encounter with this player and then blackmail him for lots and lots of money. This is not something that doesn't happen. So the people who are saying, well, this is just a money grab from Deshaun, it has from these women against Deshaun, it has happened in the past. But again, here's where I take issue with the stance that's been taken. And I'm gonna butt heads here with the casting crew of the Show for Men, the other show that butts up after hours here on ESPN Upstate. They asked a poll question yesterday on Twitter where they said, what is your gut instinct telling you? And the two options were Deshaun Watson is innocent or Deshaun Watson is guilty. Now, giving them the benefit of the doubt that Twitter only allows you a certain amount of space to type out options. I do know, however, that it does allow you to put up to 4 options on the poll, and they offered 2. You either believe he's guilty or you believe he's innocent. Those were the 2 options. I am going to say what I said yesterday to them and to everybody else here that is listening to the show. In my opinion, the correct stance to take on this is, don't know yet. We have 2 attorneys, both of whom are claiming that they have evidence that they are going to bring forward to support either the guilt or the innocence of Deshaun Watson. And Deshaun has not had his day in court. I think it is absolutely important that claims of sexual assault, and by the way, I wanted to reiterate real quick, because after we got off the air yesterday, I was asked by a listener on Twitter, I think, why, if these claims were there, is the word rape not being used? And the reason why is Texas has a different definition of that word than most states do. Texas kind of, to some degree, got rid of the word rape, and that way they can make it's now a more serious offense of sexual assault. It's all kind of prosecuted under an umbrella there. Forcing yourself onto someone is all tossed under one umbrella of sexual assault. So that's why you haven't heard the word rape in this story yet. Now, with that being said, it is important, I think, in my opinion, to again let this take place. Let this process take place. If it goes to a civil court, let the civil court do its investigation. Let it do discovery where both attorneys will put all their information on the table. Let it be heard out. If it goes to a criminal investigation, which means that Tony Busby has enough evidence for the police to at least open an investigation, then let that investigation take place. Let it happen. Let's see where it goes. But I think it is unfair, and I'm going to say with the utmost respect to everybody involved, frankly inappropriate, to try to be deciding now Deshaun is guilty or is innocent with as much as we have on the table. Zoe, as far as I'm concerned, I think that's probably the last thing that we will address on this topic. Callers, you are still welcome to bring it up. We'll be happy to address it, but we are not going to bring it forward again as a topic unless there is new information, Lonzo. I don't know if you have any differing opinion to that, but the mic is yours.
Well, I we discussed this yesterday, and I agree with you. And I saw the poll, and I just shook my head and moved on because I just I don't agree with it. That's all I'm going to say. I don't agree with the placement of the poll or the wording of it.
Yeah, I took exception to it as well. I will be honest. And again, this is not a fight between shows. I have no interest in that. It is a disagreement. After all, that is what we're here to do. I have a disagreement with it. I think it's unfair. And I think what it does, because once you ask someone to latch on to, do you believe he is guilty or do you believe he is innocent, you're asking them to take a side in a fight that they don't have all the information in. And that is, if you are in Deshaun's camp or against it, you don't want anybody taking a side right now, because this is just the human nature in us. When we take a side in something, and again, Zoe, chime in at if any point you disagree with me. When a human being takes a side in something, it becomes very difficult to change their mind about it. Very difficult to change their mind about it, right? That's why this show exists. Because I say my opinion about sports, and then people call in to disagree and tell me why I'm wrong to change my mind. It's hard to get someone to change their mind. The stance we should be encouraging people to take right now is, we don't know. We don't know. If it was one woman coming forward and saying this happened, and it led you, I would understand. But with 14 lawsuits coming forward, to me, the correct default stance should be, I don't know. And I'm going to let this play out and get the information and the data required to make a decision. Now, if you're going to ask me the question, well, Rob, what happens if not a lot of information comes out? Then I will have to fall to the default position. And the default position in our system is not guilty until proven guilty. Not innocent until proven guilty. Not guilty until proven guilty, right? You can say innocent. It's the same thing in this case, whatever. But the default position to fall back to is not guilty until proven guilty. But I will allow the accusers to have their day in court, and I will allow Deshaun to have his day in court before I fall into one of those camps. And I would encourage everyone to do the exact same thing.
See, here's the thing. Your answer to some people is not an answer, and that bothers them. They want you to take one side or the other. But the best thing to do is to wait and see and find out as much information as you can before you form an opinion on something. And you may lean one way or the other, but what if you're wrong? So it's better to wait and find out everything you can before you say, I don't get it going automatically, well, that person's guilty or that person's not guilty without knowing the information.
You can choose a ready guide in some celestial voice. If you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. You are not obligated. You are not obligated to choose anything at any point. You're not obligated to. Not choosing is a choice. The only point is this. Now, Keegan asked the question. Okay, Keegan asked the question. I just don't understand. And by the way, he's on the stream with us. Stream us at facebook.com/ESPN Upstate. Keegan says, I just don't understand why they would go for civil suits and not criminal suits. It's a great question, Keegan. It's a great question. But it is their choice. And
I was going to say, I think you can look at it this way. You go for civil. Well, this is back to the opinion. If you go for civil, then people just believe that it's a money grab. And that will make people lean one way or another. But if you know someone did something to you, but you can't absolutely prove it to the point where you can go to criminal, but you can prove it in civil, so at least you hurt the person who hurt you, you're probably going to attempt to do that.
Sure, and the argument to be made there is, well, they don't have enough evidence to go forward with a criminal charge. It also might...
Which, by the way, doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Absolutely. It might also mean that these women did not... They had no intention of coming forward at all, and Tony Busby talked them into a civil suit. Here's where I come down on that, Keegan, and I respect and appreciate the question. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Maybe they chose civil because it is easier to receive compensation in a civil court than go through the criminal. Maybe they don't, and this is a reality too. Maybe they don't trust the Houston Police Department to handle a case involving the Houston Texans star quarterback in a fair and integrity-filled way. That's a possibility, right? I don't know is the answer. Could be one of a dozen, a million answers. But again, what it comes down to is let the system play out. Quick break. Your thoughts are welcome. 844-GSP-ESPN. Text us 71307. Start your text with ESPN. Join us on the stream at ESPNUpstate.com or Facebook.com/ESPNUpstate. We're back after this on The Rob Brown Show. It's ESPN Upstate.
Your chance to bank $1,000 in the $1,000 cash stash is coming.
Zoe, so that I'm not the only one, and since we can do this fun thing on the chat now, I am going to share something with you that we watched a couple of days ago. We were talking about the gooses and the fact that the gooses are the worst animals.
No. You were talking about that. I just sit back and listened and was glad you weren't in the same room.
Gooses are the worst animals. All right. Here's a video that we had a listener to the show send in, and I want you to watch it. Watch over here on the left side of the screen. I'm sure it's a little jumpy on your end, but watch over here. Watch this. Dude, this guy fishes with like thousands of dollars of kayak equipment and fishing gear. Did you see the goose come out of the left side?
I did.
So this goose straight up attacks him, makes him flip his kayak, and then watch this. You would think the goose would think, okay, I won. Nope. It just keeps coming after him. What is this? What the hell, man?
All I know is maybe he needs to practice wielding his oar a little bit better, and that second attack might not have happened.
More of a bow staff.
Yeah, I mean, now it takes a certain amount of dexterity and ability to be doing it in water and one-handed while swimming. But I think those skills are available at certain schools or things like that, or just watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles over and over again. Or possibly some, Jackie Chan movies, because Jackie Chan can make a weapon out of anything. But now, depending on how that oar is, with wind resistance and things like that, you got to practice with it. But you can take a goose or a duck or whatever that's attacking you out with that oar for sure. Now, would you have went with the oar? And I think I would have hit the goose. I don't think I would have missed.
Just punched it, or you mean
with the oar? I mean, that oar's coming up. Boom. I play too many video games where you use whatever that you pick up as a weapon. I'm taking that goose out.
Keegan says, have you heard the conspiracy side of things? Apparently, Busby is a neighbor of the Texans owner. People think this is to hurt Deshaun's value in trade capital. We talked about that yesterday, and I've heard that theory a couple times, Keegan. But my question would be, why? Why would they do that? Right? What are at the end of the day, the Texans' job is to make money. Okay. So why would you diminish trade when you were looking at 3, maybe 4 first-round picks for a 25-year-old Pro Bowl caliber quarterback who is deemed probably Super Bowl capable? Why would you kill his trade value and just have him sit on the couch for 3 more years under contract or 4, whatever it is?
Yeah, from a business standpoint, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
I've heard the conspiracy theory, but it doesn't make any sense to me. However, that is also true. They are idiots. I will give you that. The entire Texans organization comprised of dolts.
Okay, I didn't know if you were talking about them or you were talking about the geese.
Yes. See all of the above.
30 seconds.
The concept of a goose organization terrifies me, though, too.
I'm sure when they're squawking every morning, they're talking about, okay, he's going to come out of the apartment at some point.
We still got one more break to take here, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Son of a gun, I came off the clock. All right, real quick one here, and then we'll get back on it.
Sports talk brewed locally.
Oh my God, a hipster! Bring him a microbrew, quick!
This is the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
Zoe, what is the worst thing you've ever had to do because of a lost bet? What was the worst bet punishment you've ever had to go through?
All right, here's the thing. Now, you're not going to think that this is that bad, but this is an embarrassment to my family.
Oh, no.
So I had a sports show on Word for like 14 years. So me and the other guy, Matt, we'll call him, we had bets every football season, and and he's a Clemson fan, and I was on the South Carolina side. So we managed to get a ton of car magnets. Now I'm talking about cover the entire car with magnets, and I lost one week and had to have Clemson stuff all over my car.
Ooh.
Now you may think that's not a big deal, but as I pull up to pick my daughter up from school, she didn't want to get in the car. She was so embarrassed.
I will walk home, Dad.
She was just like, and one of her teachers, who happened to be a listener, was laughing her butt off and had to coax her to get into the car and come over and was laughing. And, there's nothing worse than pulling up to a stop sign or a red light with all that orange on your car, and you're not a fan of that team, and having people look at it. And unfortunately, it just worked out that every person I pulled up next to happened to be a Gamecock fan. So that made it even worse.
Of course.
So that's the worst thing for me.
I lost the fantasy football league. I was 23, 24 years old, Zoe, and I lost the fantasy football league. It was like my first year playing fantasy, and frankly, I didn't really pay attention to it, so I just lost by default. I had to go out with the fellas one night with a skirt on. I've not told this story even to my family, but I had to go out one night with a skirt on and a sign hung around my neck that said, "Text me fun things," with my actual phone number under it. And my phone blew up mainly with, shall we say, pics of a certain region of anatomy, 100% of men. Okay.
So you were propositioned a great deal.
Yes.
You could take it that way. Okay.
Agree. There was a guy on Twitter over this past weekend. His name's Kyle Kearns, who considers himself a professional handicapper. Well, he tweeted out on the morning of the Florida Oral Roberts game, quote, "No, Oral Roberts is not going to beat Florida today. That's a response to all the DMs I have asking. No shot. If that happens, mark my words, I'll get an Oral Roberts tattoo. Trust me, I am safe here. Zero chance." Zoe, what happened in that Oral Roberts Florida game?
Oral Roberts won that game.
That is correct. Welp, Kyle Kearns followed through with it, Lonzo. He followed through. He went to a tattoo stand, and now he has right above his right butt cheek for all the world to see, if his plumber crack shows, the words in Comic Sans font, "Oral Roberts tattoo," end quote. Right there on the butt, just above the right butt cheek. For those of you in the stream, I'm going to pull up that picture for you. I can show that to you. One more reason to be on the stream with us, ladies and gentlemen, at facebook.com/ESPN Upstate. He went through it. It's not that bad. You don't see actual butt, Lonzo. Relax. It's not that bad. Anyway, he went through with it, and he got the actual tattoo of Oral Roberts tattoo right above his butt. There it is right there, Lonzo, in all of its glory. Oral Roberts tattoo tattooed right above the old hiney.
Is that considered a tramp stamp?
Borderline. It does say Oral Roberts tattoo. Like literally, that's the words. It's not a tattoo of the Oral Roberts logo. It just literally says Oral Roberts tattoo, tattooed right above the keister. You know what, Zoe? I think I'd rather go out to the bar in a skirt for a night. I think that would have to be the way it went. Quick break. Wrap it up the hour after this on the Rob Brown Show. It's ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show.
Keegan said NSA. It was not unsafe for work. You couldn't even see the dudes behind. Like you got a little plumber's crack going on. That was it. And again, those of you on the stream, you can leave your comments on any platform that you're watching on, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. And they will populate here on the screen for Lonzo and I. We can respond to them. Off-air topics are there as well. Yeah, Brian, if they want Lowry, they'll have to give up Chris Hero or Tyler Hero for it. I don't know why I do know why I keep calling him Chris Hero, but Tyler Hero, which I don't know if they want to do. I mean, I probably would, especially since Hero is, I think, he got one more year on his rookie deal. Lowry's contract is going to be a hefty one, but they could use the help. Steven, go ahead.
I was going to say, I got a question for Keegan. Is it sweet to beat LA knowing that, AD and LeBron weren't there? I mean, I would think that's kind of a hollow victory. I mean, because you have both those guys gone. They don't have a team, really.
I mean, they do. They've got Kuzma and some other guys.
All right, they don't have a team that can compete for the prize.
That is correct. Here's what I'll say. Like, yes, it felt hollow. And I feel like I can speak on this as a Pelicans fan. Yeah, it feels a little hollow, especially considering we have competed with the Lakers when they are at their best. But for a team that is scrapping for an 8 seed, a team that is scrapping for that play-in game at the end of the year, I'll take any freaking W we can get at this point. Keegan says it was heavy sarcasm.
Oh, okay. And by the way, I also lost a bet where I had to wear a dress. But
did you go through with it?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I did and it was right here on the air on the station.
Well, that's not as
bad. But here's the thing. The Clemson thing was worse to me. So you ask which is worse. Yes, having Clemson magnets on my car was worse than wearing a dress.
The dress thing, like if I lost that bet on the air, it would just be what it is, right? All right, cool, whatever. I'm on the air. I can explain it. Yeah, I'm going to get made fun of by the listeners, but it's going to be over in a day.
Well, I beat the guy the next year, and he didn't pay up on the bet.
See, that's when I have a problem.
Yeah, me too. And you know who decided that that I'd be wearing a dress? That would be our boss, Mark Hendricks.
Nice.
Who thought it was hilarious.
Oh, I would as well.
And I look good in that thing, but I did. Yeah. The worst part was going to Goodwill and having my daughter go with me to help me pick out the dress.
Yeah, they don't see. I'd like to think if I got stuck in that, I would just borrow one of the lady friends, and I'd be, and I know, nope, I would fill it out. I wouldn't have a choice but to go find like a muumuu and wear it.
If I recall, it was a nice sundress, but I will tell you at the end of it, when I went home, and this was on video somewhere too, I threw it in the fire pit and I burnt it and made sure that was on video.
Steven says, have you guys watched Falcon and Winter Soldier yet? I actually have not.
I have. So I won't spoil.
Okay, grade it. A to F.
Because of political sensibilities, it bothers me a little bit. But so I don't want to judge it on the first episode.
Yeah, if you judge WandaVision by the first episode, you would have bailed out.
Right. So, and this is only 6 episodes. So give me another episode and I'll give you my opinion. I will tell you, it's shot well and everything, but we'll just have to wait and see how they do things.
Fair enough.
20 seconds.
I will be watching it as soon we get off the air, and then I got some work to do, and then as soon as I get after that, I will get to watch. So by tomorrow on the stream, we'll have a full review.
Sports talk every weekday noon to 3. This is the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It's ESPN Upstate. Robin Lonzo with you. Be a part of the show at 844-GSP-ESPN. Text us at 71307. 71307. Start your text with ESPN. Join us on the stream at Facebook.com/ESPN Upstate, Twitter.com/The Rob Brown Show, or on YouTube at The Rob Brown Show. If you're working on your smart television, you can actually pull up the YouTube app. You can pull up the YouTube app and search the Rob Brown channel, and you can watch the stream from right there on your smart TV. So when the boss walks in and he's like, hey, man, why are you screwing around on Facebook? Nope, boss. This is a legitimate television channel. What do you want? All right? Just we're trying to make your day that much easier. All right, coming up in the next segment of the show, when we open up the next hour, we are going to hear from Dawn Staley as the Gamecocks, South Carolina's women's basketball program, on to another Sweet 16 because, yes, ladies and gentlemen, they are that good. But before we get there, it is time for your ESPN $1,000 cash dash. Your chance to win $1,000. You're going to want to text the keyword wage, 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 to 72881. WAGE, wage, to 72881. Powered by BetQL. Let BetQL's proven data and analytics help you become a better. Download the BetQL app today. Text and data rates may apply in this national contest. Again, this hour is wage, WAGE. Text that keyword to 72881 for your chance to win $1,000 from the Cash Dash on ESPN Upstate. Quick break. Dawn Staley after this on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
ESPN Upstate, WYRD Greenville, WORD Spartanburg, W249TL Greenville, W246CV Spartanburg, WFBC FM HD3 Greenville, Radio.com Sports Station.
AutomotiveMap.com presents your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update, powered by The Score. The South Carolina women's basketball team advancing in the NCAA tournament. They defeat Oregon State yesterday 59-42. Aaliyah Boston led the way, 19.7 rebounds. They will match up against Georgia Tech in a game that's going to be coming up on Saturday. Clemson baseball, they get a win against Georgia Southern last night, 6-4. That gets their overall record back to 500 at 9-9. And now they get set for a weekend series Friday, Saturday, and Sunday when they will go to Boston College. The Charlotte Hornets, they play tonight as they are set to match up against the Houston Rockets. Guard LaMelo Ball has undergone surgery to repair his fractured right wrist. Download the Score app today. Lightning fast sports alerts so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. With your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update, I'm Matt Pauley.
Have you heard the Rob Brown Show?
Yesterday, I hear our comrades in arms on our other local show discussing wrestling, as both of them were deeply offended that on Sunday. Chris, the word for the hour is wage, WAGE, wage. I just wanted to text in to see if Tinky Winky is doing all right. Oh, the text line's got jokes today. LOL. Ha ha ha. Not even wearing purple today. JB.
Saw him Monday. He was doing well.
Don't help, Lonzo.
That's what I'm here for. I'm here to help.
Don't want your help. Don't need your help in this case. Thank you very much. Tinky Winky. Oh, I love my listeners so much. I really do.
At the day. Warning.
Man, check this out.
You're on official Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents being real. Yeah.
Real, unfiltered sports talk manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Lockdown.
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Yeah.
Only on ESPN.
ESPN Upstate.
Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is ESPN Upstate. Rob and Lonzo and you be a part of the show. 844-GSP, ESPN 844-477-3776 is the number. Text us at 71307. Start your text with ESPN. We can read them on the air, including JB, who texted in. I just wanted to text in to see if Tinky Winky is doing all right. Text line's got jokes today. The text line's got jokes. Hooray.
You know, you guys make me feel guilty every time you do that stuff because my original intention was not for all that to happen. You guys did that. It wasn't me. I was just commenting on the shirt, and that's what happened. So
now you're just lying to the people. So
I feel guilty. You know, I don't want to hurt our relationship because of Tinky Winky.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me offer you just a bit of advice. Should you ever find yourself in the court of law in front of a judge defending yourself from an accusation, my suggestion is when you tell the judge it got out of hand and I feel guilty, don't be smiling and laughing like an idiot when you do it, because it makes it a little hard to believe, Lonzo. I'm just saying. All right?
I don't know what you're talking about. I believe that I stated plainly that I had nothing to do with what I am accused of. And I look forward to proving this to not only you, Judge, but the jury. You're going to find me not guilty on all counts.
No, I'm not. I'm officially 100% not. You did it. You earned it. Own it, Zoe. Own it.
This is something that shouldn't escalate, because if it does, then I'll be forced to find Teletubbies music, and I don't want to do that because,
oh my God.
Yeah, because that would be hurtful to all of us.
Why would you even speak that into existence, Lonzo?
I don't know.
Why would you even speak that into existence? All right. Yesterday, USC brought some defensive prowess onto the floor. Absolutely smoked the Oregon State Beavers 59-42 in a game that, frankly, was not ever even that close. The Gamecocks led 14-13 after the opening quarter, but held OSU to 5 points in the second quarter. They led 30-18 at the break and never looked back. Oregon State committed 7 turnovers in the second quarter that helped the Gamecocks to a 12-0 run that turned the game. Carolina shot just 35% from the floor, only 1 3-pointer on the night, but dominated by 10 points in the paint, 34-24, the boards 50-32, and second chance points 15-5. They also hit 14 of 18 from the 3-point line. Aaliyah Boston led the Gamecocks 19 points, grabbed 7 boards as well. USC will face off against the Ramblin' Wreck of Georgia Tech in the Sweet 16 at a time and date to be announced. This is the Gamecocks' 7th straight trip to the Sweet 16. Dawn Staley, we got access to her post-game press conference last night. Gonna play you just a portion of the post-game press conference, and I'll tell you why. I was listening to the post-game press conference, and Dawn Staley fascinates me as a coach. For a couple of reasons. Number one, her girls will lay out for her, and you can tell it, right? They are all in for Coach Staley. Number 2, and what's really intriguing about Dawn Staley is that her team is every bit as dominant as any other basketball team in the country right now, men's or women's. But when you listen to Dawn Staley, she just has this air not of condescension, right? Like I always get aggravated when I listen to Nick Saban's press conferences the night after they go beat Mississippi State 48-3. And they go, Saban, how'd you feel about the game? What went right? And Saban just starts going, well, our left tackle sucks and our quarterback missed a bunch and this guy sucks and that sucked and our planning sucked. And you're like, dude, you won 48-3, right? I don't think anything really got sideways from you there. Dawn Staley doesn't come across that way. A lot of dominant coaches, they get to this point where it's hard for me to listen to them speak because the coach speak is overwhelming. Dawn Staley's not that way. Anyway, got access to her post-game press conference last night, was able to pull a little sound from that. Here's how Dawn Staley sounded breaking down that huge win in the second round of the women's tournament over the Oregon State Beavers.
You know, and just looking at that second quarter, it seemed like you guys really picked the defensive intensity up. Was that something where, I mean, did you have to kick them into gear, or was that where the players kind of formed that off themselves?
I mean, we held Oregon State to 13 points in the first quarter. I thought our defense was established, and the way that we wanted to play for the entire game. I mean, we wanted to speed them up. We wanted to make sure that they weren't getting clean looks at the basket. We wanted to disrupt, and we wanted to pressure them. And I thought we did a great job with that. It's just we scored more in the second quarter, and we didn't allow them to score as much. So it was more of a defensive effort, and we put a lot of energy into making sure that they didn't get off and be as efficient as they usually are. I mean, if you look at their cumulative stats, they're staggering. You know, all of them. I mean, they shoot well into the upper 40s, 50s from 2 and 3. And, you know, it takes you back. And you got to figure out a game plan in which won't allow those numbers those percentages to play a part in the result of the game. So we went out and just played gritty, led by, you know, Destiny Henderson, who just got underneath Goodman and made her think about our pressure more than wanting to attack and to score and distribute the basketball. And then it was a trickle-down effect. V was awesome. Victoria Saxon was awesome. Like, incredibly, like, locked into what she needed to do. And then everybody else just fell into place as far as being linked up. But those were 2 key areas in which we took care of things, and everybody else was able to just hold serve.
As a reminder, Coach cannot see you, so please state your name and affiliation. David, go ahead.
Hey, Dawn, it's Dave Cloninger from the Post and Courier back home. You mentioned the other day about what Aaliyah does that's not seen. How crucial was it of her going at Jones early and getting those 2 fouls on Jones in the first?
Key. I mean, they had to go to their bench a lot sooner than they more than likely wanted to. She didn't play as many minutes. I mean, look. I mean, she played. What did she play? 18 minutes, and she was 60% from the floor. 13 points, 4 rebounds. Imagine if she played her normal, 28, 30, 32 minutes. We would have been in trouble because she could have erased the lead that we had with just her production. So one of the keys is to get to their bench and either Goodman or Taylor. Pick your choice because they both are anchors for their team.
Joe
Gorcho, WIS TV in Columbia. Dawn, Bree Beal, I know we've talked about her before, but consistently she embraces her role and does it in a way where I think it positively impacts the team. What do you continue to see from her, not worrying about the stats, how much she scores, but staying in the structure to do her job and do it at a very high level?
I mean, you can't function as a as a team, if people don't accept their roles, and a lot of times nobody wants the role that Bree Bill plays for us. That is lockdown, our opponent's best offensive guard. Sometimes that is sacrificing your shot for a better shot. Sometimes that is just being a decoy and being a screener. Nobody wants that. But here's the truth of the matter is pro teams are looking at that. They are looking at players who can be that spark off the bench, that that doesn't mind getting in there, getting rebounds and getting stops, because they have the WNBA is full of players that can definitely score the basketball. It's not a whole lot of them that that are great pieces to a franchise, but she's setting herself up to be a great pro and to be in a place where when she becomes a senior and it's time for her to leave, that her number is going to be on the board, the draft board.
Mitch.
Coach, congrats on the win. Mitch Brown, Watch Fox, Columbia, South Carolina. When you look at your team's ability to, start games this season, you talked about wanting them to square up early on in those games. Obviously, early on in this game, it was that kind of slugfest in the first quarter. But in the second quarter, you guys went back to your staple, which was the defense, and it was cleaned up there, and that kind of took control of the game. What was it about that second quarter where they were able to get control defensively that turned into easy opportunities on the offensive side?
Well, I think it took them a while to get their wind. I mean, for some reason, and I don't know if it's happening to other teams, but the first quarter, the first couple of minutes of the first quarter seems like, it's hard for us to catch our breath. And I think sometimes we're rushing it and we're defending as well. So we're really expending a lot of energy unnecessarily. Maybe it's just adrenaline that's, got us, playing quicker than we want to play, and, not having enough time to, gather ourselves. And I see it, but again, you got to push through it, and then things will settle down after the first quarter. But, for us, we have to force teams into feeling that, that winded with our ability to defend.
So
Christy,
there's some of the audio from the post-game press conference of Dawn Staley and her Gamecocks after they knocked off Oregon State last night. Look, and you heard her say they're in that last little bit that the one of the big things, and I noticed this at the beginning of the game too, and you can see it trend out in the stat line. South Carolina comes out of the gates very hot. I mean, almost too hot, right? You've seen teams fatigue themselves down the stretch. Now, the great news for South Carolina's women's team is that they are deeper. They are deeper than the vast majority of teams that they are going to come across in this tournament. So they can try to set the tempo as a very high tempo basketball team early in the game. But it 100% relies on being able to defend and keep the shot percentages low for Oregon State or whoever they bump up against. When it gets to the point that they are letting teams shoot up in the low 40s, mid 40s from the floor and in the low 30s from three, that's the only time that they're going to find themselves in trouble, especially when they come up later in the tournament against the UConns, the Stanfords, some of the other teams that are a little bit more consistent from the floor than the Beavers of Oregon State were. But again, I don't know what it is about her. I've been trying since I listened to that press conference earlier this morning, Lonzo, trying to put my finger on what it is that makes Dawn Staley not just such a phenomenal coach, obviously on the floor, but when she speaks, Zoe, I listen, right? Like when she talks, it's not coach speak of, well, we need to come out and just set the pace of the game. She came out and told you exactly what was going on about pace of play. She told you exactly what was going on about making sure that certain individuals were playing their role and telling you what that role is, et cetera. I got to tell you, man, I love listening to Dawn Staley give post-game and pre-game pressers, though, because I think she says more about her team than maybe any other coach I've heard speak.
Yeah, early on when near the beginnings of ESPN Upstate, we had Dawn Staley on, and I will tell you that she is very cool, and she has a sense of humor. She's just very genuine. I think that's what it is how genuine she is. She's not worried about coaches speak. That's just how she is. That's how she talks. When we had her on, she was laughing and joking and getting to the X's and O's, and you couldn't tell that she was just going into, well, let me go into how a coach speaks. No, that's just how she is. And she seems really cool. She would be awesome to play for. And I know I'd be motivated every time. And she is just down to earth and really, really cool.
100%. 100% without a doubt. All right, 844-GSP-ESPN, 844-477-3776. And by the way, I will tell you, it probably will not be this week, but I have been working and fingers crossed once they get through the weekend and into the Elite Eight, as I have no doubt that they will after taking on Georgia Tech, a team that they should overwhelm. Lonzo, fingers crossed, we will actually have Dawn Staley on the show next week to talk to us a little bit about.
You're going to love talking to her. It's going to be an awesome interview.
Yeah, I've been told that a couple of times. I've been told that Dawn Staley is a phenomenal interview. So fingers crossed, we'll have Dawn Staley on the show next week once her Lady Gamecocks find their way into the Elite Eight. Quick break. We'll come back here in just a minute. And when we do, a little bit of Carolina Panthers talk for you. Reports are coming out that there is one quarterback expected to be a top 10 draft pick that the Carolina Panthers do not think is worth their number 8 overall pick, to the point that they may go another direction. Who is it and why? We'll break that down next on the Rob Brown Show. Rob Lonzo and you, it's ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your Amazon or Google.
All right, weird sentence to say, but I got to go click my air conditioner on, ladies and gentlemen, because I am sweating. So I'll leave you in the capable hands of when he comes back. Lonzo, throw your comments there in the chat. I will read them on the air. We'll take the good ones onto the air back in just a minute.
I don't know if it's intentional or not, but you notice when Rob and I both try to leave the room that he makes sure he puts the screen on me. So it looks like that I was supposed to be the one talking. And, that's why I jumped up and ran out before he could do it. And he did it anyway. That's a nice.
I put the little break banner up there.
Oh, I didn't see the break banner.
Yep.
Okay. That's a nice shirt, by the way.
Thanks, man. I actually had to get up and do something this morning, so I had to put on a collar. Also, I haven't given this rant on air yet, but let me go ahead and do it now. Can we get away? Can we do away with ties? Can we do away with ties? Can we stop with ties? Ties are unnecessary. What is it about tying a piece of fabric around your neck that says I'm ready for a formal occasion? Like ties, I love a good suit. I look good in a good suit. But a good suit without a tie is every bit as good looking as a good suit with a tie. Can we be done with ties?
Well, I agree with you, and I look good in a tie. But here's the problem with ties for me: when you have a big neck and a long torso, is trying to find the right length tie to where it doesn't look like it's a clip on that you got in third grade, and it's very difficult for me. So I'm having to pay extra money to get a tie that fits, and I very seldom wear a tie. And so when you end up in those situations where you're forced to wear one, a lot of times you'll look like you're forced to wear one. And I feel sorry for the people who have to wear them all the time. And I don't like having the collar of the shirt buttoned all the way up either. It's restricting, and it just feels like you're taking away my freedom. But luckily, we don't have that problem here because we have no dress code, as Rob and I show you every single day.
True story.
All right, we do have a dress code. There's a certain amount of dress code.
Like wear pants.
Yeah, well, there's that. Yeah, shoes, that's completely optional.
Don't come in the skivvies. Oh, when it gets warm, I'm team flip flops all day, every day. And yes, I do take care of my feet. I'm not one of those weirdos that's like.
Well, I'll be rocking what is called the slides now tomorrow. When I got my shoes, I also got some slides. And I'm willing to throw my slides up and have those judged too, because I'm sure there are such things as I don't know.
What kind are they?
I don't remember. I don't know if
like Nike, Adidas, Reebok.
No, I didn't go for a name brand. I went
like black slides.
Oh no. These are you have to see them. I can't exactly describe them. Now I have some Kansas City Chiefs ones, and which I will rock while wearing red, but there's a problem. I sometimes don't wear red, and so to match that, I needed to get some, because I do care about matching, believe it or not. And I am not that grandpa who pulls his shorts up over his stomach and that guy. I'll never be that guy. So I need to match a little bit. But I will show you the slides tomorrow, and then you can marvel over the ugly toes.
Hashtag dad kicks.
Can you call sandals or slides dad kicks? I guess they're still kicks though, aren't they? I suppose.
Technically, yes.
When I think kicks, I think
shoes.
Sneakers.
More than the scores, the ups and downs, the ins and outs. Real, unfiltered sports talk. It's the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is ESPN Upstate. Join us on our live stream, facebook.com/ESPN Upstate. We're trying to grow that into a cool little online community. I think we've done a good job. We usually get a handful of folks in there, and y'all can chat with us during the breaks. It's a lot of fun. What's up to Michael Stathakis, who showed us just a minute ago? He is having lunch over at Stack's Original and watching us on the big screen while he does it. If you've got a smart TV, you can log on to the stream on the YouTube app or the Facebook app. Go to facebook.com/ESPN Upstate on your TV or youtube.com/The Rob Brown Show, and you can actually put the show up on your big screen. And I don't think that I'm quite ugly enough to break your screen, so it might work out for you. All right, 844-GSP-ESPN, the number, by the way. A couple of bits of Panthers news that have come out. The Atlanta Falcons have reached an agreement with running back Mike Davis, a 2-year contract, worked up to $5.5 million with $3 million of it guaranteed, according to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler. Of course, Davis shined last season playing for the Panthers. Matt Rule and co. fell in love with Davis, who was inserted into the offense when Run CMC suffered an ankle injury in the fourth quarter of a Week 2 loss to the Buccaneers. He also missed 13 games total with injuries to his ankle, shoulder, and quad. Davis finished last season with a career-high 642 yards and 6 touchdowns, 59 receptions for 373 through the air, and a pair of touches as well. Davis is 28 years of age as of February, said it would be enticing to go to a team where he would be the starter, but did also say that the grass isn't always greener, and that, if he needed to play a backup role in a spot where he would still get significant time, he wouldn't be against it. The Panthers claimed Davis off of waivers from the Bears after the 2019 season. To me, here is the problem that I have with the decision. We knew that Mike Davis was a free agent. We knew that Mike Davis was going somewhere looking for a big-time contract in a starter's role. But here's the thing. I think the Panthers could have brought Mike Davis back for probably about $5 million more than they wanted to offer him, based on what we know about those contract negotiations that took place. They let Mike Davis walk over $5 million. Okay. Pardon me, is what it comes down to. They let him walk over about $5 million to Atlanta. That's about what Atlanta got him for. Not a great move. Not a great move. And here's why. You keep a guy that already knows the offense. You keep a guy that showed that he can be a workhorse when Christian McCaffrey is unhealthy, if he has another injury spell. And unfortunately, if you are the Panthers, I do think you have to operate under the assumption that it is very possible that Run CMC will get dinged up again. This guy knew your offense could be the workhorse if CMC went down, but he also provided you that bowling ball alternative to Run CMC. He provided you that bowling ball alternative that allows you to have a lightning and thunder approach. You can put CMC in there when you need the speed to the outside. You can put Mike Davis in there when you want to go between the tackles, or you can put them both in there. Let Mike Davis play almost as a dangerous fullback kind of role from that halfback position. $5 million to me, I don't think, unless you draft running back and you hit, I don't think you're going to find another running back that's going to be able to fill the role that Mike Davis fulfilled for you last year for the numbers that was there. I understand salary cap is a concern, but since Deshaun Watson, at least for now, is out of the mix, I think you spend the money on Mike Davis. And frankly, Zoe, I think the Panthers made a mistake here letting him walk.
Yeah, so do I. I was very disappointed when I saw the news because I was looking forward to the combination and the things that they could do, having them both in the backfield at the same time. Because people wouldn't know, are they going to run the ball with Mike Davis and then or throw the ball to CMC? There's so many possibilities, and he did such a good job. And I am going to pretend like you're wrong and that Christian McCaffrey is not injury prone and that he's going to be fine the entire season. I'm going to pretend like that, but I know that's not true. It does seem like he is prone to injury, and you got to have a good backup. But maybe it goes back to what they've said for years now, that it's easy to find another running back, that the running back position is diminished to the point where you can plug in just about anybody. I don't entirely believe that. Mike Davis, like you said, knew the offense, did a good job in the offense, and surprised everybody at how well he did on the team. So I'm disappointed, very disappointed.
The only comparison I have to Run CMC is Alvin Kamara. And I know a lot of people go, you're just a homer but when it comes to the most versatile running back in the National Football League, those two are the tops, AK-41 and Run CMC. Alvin Kamara's best seasons and best games come when he's got that bowling ball back. For a couple of years, it was he and Mark Ingram. Before Mark Ingram ended up in Baltimore, now he's down in Houston. And the last couple of years with Latavius Murray, who the Saints picked up from the Vikings. When Alvin Kamara has that other option on the field and you can kind of throw three different looks at him, the big heavy between the tackles back, the quick outside Alvin Kamara, Christian McCaffrey style back, and you can throw the third look, which is that hybrid look where you put both of them out there and you say, good luck figuring out which guy's getting the ball. That's when AK is at his best. And I feel like the same would be true for Run CMC. And by getting rid of Mike Davis, you have added over $5 million. And if you find a guy who is going to produce for you next year, like Mike Davis produced for you this year, and do so for $5.5 million cheaper, good on you. Good on you. But you're gambling there. You're gambling that hybrid style ability over $5.5 million, which to me, frankly, it ain't worth it. It ain't worth it. I'd have just paid the $5 and kept them out there without a doubt. All right, your thoughts on that? Would you have wanted the Panthers to keep Mike Davis? Do you think they made a mistake, as I did, in letting him walk over what would have been $5.5 million? It looks like roughly in difference between what the Panthers wanted to give him and what Atlanta ultimately did. Let's take our half-hour break. When we come back here in just a minute from right now, we're going to address the quarterback situation. There is a quarterback that has landed in Carolina in a number of notable mock drafts, but the reports now are that Carolina does not consider him worth the top 10 pick. And if he's the only one available at 8, they may go another direction, and the quarterback spot may be hanging up in the air. Is that the right call? We'll address that next. I'm Rob. He's Zoe. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate.
You could have your own celebration.
All right, halfway done, boys and girls. We're on the home stretch of the Hump Day edition. Let's see. Benjamin says, love getting to watch while having lunch. Benjamin, I appreciate you watching, man. Thanks for tuning in. That's exactly why we do it. We want you to be able to enjoy your lunch break, have a little fun talking some sports. So thanks for joining us, man. Great to have you. Feel free to contribute to the show, man. Leave your thoughts in the chat, whatever you want to do. If you got a question for me or hashtag Dad Kicks, we're happy to answer them. That's only going to last a few days, Lonzo. Hang in there.
Here's what I believe. I believe as long as the purple shirt exists and your propensity to wear said shirt, that you will make sure that Dad Kicks lives on forever. And just because of that. And I'm okay with that because I think I win in that argument. But at least from the responses I've seen. And let's face it, I'm probably not going to wear these shoes that much anyway. So
you're wearing them right now, aren't you?
I am. But I've already looked at the weather ahead of time and have planned on wearing the new sandals tomorrow. What makes a sandal a sandal? What makes a slide a slide? I know what flip-flops are, and I don't understand people who have that thing through their between their toes and they're okay with it. It just bothers me. There's someone else in the building who wears flip-flops all the time, even in the winter. And he doesn't have a problem with filling. It's just, that doesn't bother you.
No,
maybe it could be a Florida thing. It's possible.
You know that opening scene? You've seen 300, right?
Yes.
You know the opening scene where they send young Leonidas out into the mountains for a week to survive on his own, and he's like, all he gets is a spear, and he's walking around in the snow and all that?
Yep.
That's like us, but with flip-flops in the cold. Like you grow up, it's you wear flip-flops even when it's cold, and after a while you just get used to it. It just doesn't bother you anymore. Now I will tell you, since I moved here, the percentage of days in which flip-flops are worn by one Rob Brown has dropped dramatically. It is not a non-existent number, but it's not nearly as much as it used to be for two reasons. Number one, right before I came here, the ex's dog chewed up one of my flip-flops, so it's full of like dog. It just looks bad, and I haven't been able to find the flip-flops that I like.
20 seconds.
And number two, there's just so many times where I end up having to walk up and down hills when I wasn't.
Made for upstate sports junkies.
These pathetic junkies? Oh, look at them.
You eat sports like food every day. Get hooked on the Rob Brown Show, noon to 3 every weekday on ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is ESPN Upstate. Rob, Lonzo, you. Let's talk Panthers draft strategy just a minute. The Panthers sent their big guns to watch Trey Lance throw at North Dakota State's Pro Day a couple of weeks ago. However, there was no one from the Carolina Panthers organization in Alabama to watch their pro day and watch Mac Jones throw. Now, here's what I'm going to say about that. The more that I see Mac Jones, the more, and you hate to say, it's weird to say this, Zoe, about a guy coming off of a national championship run, about a guy coming off of a Heisman Trophy run, et cetera, et cetera. But I kind of feel like I have to. The more I watch Mac Jones, the more I think I agree with Carolina's apparent decision, though it is not finalized yet, apparent decision that they would not want to take Mac Jones at the number 8 spot if he is the quarterback that is available at that point. In fact, they may go Trey Lance ahead of Mac Jones, which is not the order they're listed in on most of the NFL Insider pages. Rule and Fitterer were no-shows for Jones' second pro day, which would seem to confirm that the Panthers like Jones' leadership. They like his track record of success, but they do not view him as a top 10 pick and would end up going in a different direction. Now, the only thing that obviously is up in the air is which quarterbacks, if any, are available at number 8 when that slot comes up for the Carolina Panthers. Would they go with Trey Lance if he is available? The more I'm looking at it, Lonzo, the more I'm getting the impression that the Carolina Panthers either take Trey Lance at 8 or they throw a bundle at the Jets and they try to move to number 2. Now, that bundle is going to be very expensive to get Justin Fields at number 2 because they are not going to be the only team looking at that. The rumor is the Denver Broncos are involved there. There is no guarantee that the Jets themselves don't want to just hang on to the number 2 pick and go ahead and take Fields themselves. There are probably 4 or 5 teams. There is a chance that the Miami Dolphins may be done with Tua Tagovailoa and decide to go after Justin Fields. But there is no guarantee that the Panthers are the only ones looking at number 2 and taking Justin Fields, which means if the Panthers want it, it is going to come with a very steep price tag attached to it. Would you rather have, Lonzo, from the University of Alabama, quarterback Mac Jones, and hang on to what I suspect will likely be your second and third this year, your first next year, and another second or third bundled in there? Or would you rather trade it all away, go get Justin Fields, and hope you hit on a handful of the right guys later in the draft to supplement him?
Well, obviously, if you believe Justin Fields is your guy for the future, you do that. I have noticed that Mel Kiper's latest mock draft has the Panthers picking at 3 and trading with Miami, I believe it is. I can't remember who's supposed to be at 3, but he has them at 3, going up to 3 and taking Justin Fields. So what if you just move up to 3? You're not going to have to trade as much as you would at 2. But I'm biased in this situation. I think they should move up and take Justin Fields because I think he has the possibility to be the quarterback there for a while. And I think it comes down to, does Matt Rule look around and go, okay, I've got all my pieces in place. I'm ready to go. I took my 1 year of rebuilding. This is the next and main piece that I need to move forward. I'm willing to trade a lot to get him and then move up. I don't know. I don't know. If you think he's the guy, then I think you have to do it.
Here's where it gets interesting. There have been a number of mock drafts from high-level insiders that have come out over the past couple of weeks that I've stumbled across, though, that have the Jets staying at number 2, but taking, instead of Justin Fields, taking Zach Wilson at number 2, meaning that Justin Fields would be available, as would Trey Lance and Mac Jones, for several quarterback-needy teams that are at 3 through 8. The Falcons, the Eagles, the Lions are all reported to be eyeing, if not committed to drafting a quarterback which means that Carolina, again, would still likely need to move up if they wanted to grab Justin Fields, because I don't think he's dropping below number 4, or take the chance that that Trey Lance makes it to 8, and they're not stuck with Mac Jones when it's all said and done. Look, I think if you're the Panthers here, I think you got to be proactive. I think you got to be proactive in moving up. I think you've got to be proactive in jumping up to get a guy, because I think if you don't, the impression that I'm getting from kind of compiling mock drafts and taking a look at where the team by team inside sites have their teams leaning, I'm getting the impression that a lot of teams are starting to get to the point where they have Trey Lance ahead of Mac Jones, where Trey Lance is the guy that they want to go with, which means that, because again, while there are 3 or 4 teams from 3 through 8 that are looking quarterback, there are also plenty of teams. We mentioned Denver at 11. Plenty of teams from 9 through 18 that are also in the hunt for a quarterback, and recognize that none of the big 5, Lawrence, Wilson, Fields, Lance, or Jones, are going to fall that far down the draft board, meaning that they will be proactive as well. I think if you are Carolina, though, you have 2 options here. Number 1, you can gamble, you can be proactive, you can move up and take a guy. Or number 2, you can just take best available at number 8, roll the dice on Teddy Bridgewater for 1 more year, consider it another growing season, a rebuilding season, and then try to get your guy in free agency, trade, or in the draft next year. If Deshaun is indeed off the table, as it appears that he is, at least for the time being, although there are reports that the Carolina Panthers are having internal discussions about maybe making a play for Deshaun Watson one more time again anyways. If Deshaun's off the board, as I would suspect he is, and frankly, at this moment in time, hope for Carolina's sake that he is, let it play out before you make a move. I think you got to jump up. I think you got to jump up and get the guy, because look, Teddy Bridgewater last year, though, had 8 opportunities, 8 games, half the season, 8 games where he had the opportunity to tie or take the lead on the final possession of the game. You know what the record was in those 8 games? 0-8. Couldn't do it one time with the offense he had around him. So I'm going to maintain my argument. Carolina needs to be ruthlessly aggressive in this case to steal a John Cena line. Move up, go get a guy. Don't let one come to you, because you will be disappointed and you will be stuck with either Mac Jones or drafting another position and not having a quarterback that you like in week 1.
Agreed. And I do believe that if they do not move up, that they won't take a quarterback. And the Panthers may end up with Bridgewater again this year.
Yeah, they have to. They don't have a choice. They will be stuck with Mac Jones if they do not move up and get aggressive. If there is a time to be aggressive, now is that time for the Carolina Panthers. Agree or disagree? 844-GSP-ESPN. Text just came in, Zoe. It says at text line 71307, start your text with ESPN. ESPN, good Lord, please don't trade up for Fields. He will be a bust, end quote, Lonzo.
Tell me someone in the draft who is going to be a star 100%.
Trevor Lawrence.
You can't say that. 100%. You cannot say that. You absolutely cannot. We saw him fold in certain pressure situations. He's going to, if he gets drafted number 1, which he probably will, he's going to a place with a first-time NFL head coach. He could possibly not win a game this year. It's hard to fathom that, but it is a possibility. We've seen that happen with some of the best quarterbacks of all time. And that, if you're used to winning, some people can't handle that mentally. You cannot say 100% that there's someone in this draft that is going to be a star without a doubt and have a 10-year to 15-year career and be a Hall of Famer. You can't do that. Number one drafted quarterbacks or quarterbacks drafted in the top 10, how many of them actually pan out? So you can't say that. I think sometimes there are haters out there who just don't look at how accurate of a passer Justin Fields is. And by the way, Justin Fields, not a guarantee to be a star, but definitely an upgrade from what you have right now. And I would say one of the better ones in the draft.
I'm glad you asked that question, Lonzo. I'm glad you asked how many early drafted quarterbacks pan out, because I have some numbers for you to play to that point when we come back, and I think they will fascinate you as they fascinated me. That's next. I'm Rob. He's Lonzo. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It's ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your computer and...
All right. Yes, Keegan, we did talk about that during the lunch breakdown, but I am going to bring it back up to open up the next hour, because I think that a lot of fans' conspiracy theories have been, shall we say, supported by what happened. So, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Remind me, and I will open up the next hour with it. Good call. Maryland up 50-25. They got Bama doubled up. Approaching, inside the final minute of the first half. That's in the women's tournament. For anybody who was unaware. And don't tell him, since he's not listening. I want to see if he notices it. But I changed Lonzo's name. Oh, now he's listening. Put it back up. Put it back up quick. I should have said that earlier in the live read.
Now, if I were signed in, which I am not, if I were signed in, I could change your name. At least I believe so. I believe that when you're signed in, it doesn't work today though, because you're not wearing the shirt. It only works when you're wearing a shirt. These are unfair working conditions. I'm leaving. I know someone suggested that I play the Teletubbies theme, which I had mentioned. The problem with doing that is then Rob will get flagged by YouTube.
That is
and
correct.
Yeah, and it will kill the video, and I don't want to do that to him.
So would have to explain to the boss why it was he intentionally played copyrighted music that got our video boost.
Yeah, see, here's the thing though. If I'm going to die on a hill, it will not be because of Teletubbies. I am willing to take risks, but not with the Teletubbies.
I would have opened the window because it's nice out, but I can't, Lonzo.
Because of the geese. I know.
Freaking geese.
You know what rhymes with geese? Lease.
Which is what I have.
And when that's up, perhaps, you look for a place that doesn't have geese.
Well, I most certainly have not ruled that out. Well, I just re-signed it in March, so I got another year now. But we're probably, a month and a half, 2 months away from the geese should be having geese babies. Which is when it really gets dicey, because then they get overprotective. Like, oh, you're within 300 yards of my geese babies. I must murder you.
Yeah. JB Owens has a great question about copywritten music. And there are different rules for on air than there are on YouTube, especially. YouTube is very, very picky. And the fact that we're broadcasting to Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, there's some things that you can do on Facebook and Twitter that you can't do on YouTube. So blame YouTube.
And on top of that, the reason we can play it on the air is that our big company, Intercom, holds the rights to those songs and is legally allowed to play them on air. So we have the rights to them to play on air, but we do not have the rights to them to play on the interwebs, which is why you do not hear the bumper music when you are watching the stream. One of the two reasons. The other,
which is, also the reason why Rob can't hear the music and why I've been playing nothing but Limp Bizkit all day. And he has no idea if that's true or not.
I know y'all be loving this blank right here. LIMP. Biscuit is right here. People in the house, put your hands in the
30 seconds.
We don't care. We don't care. You act like I wouldn't bump some Fred Durst.
See, the thing is, I don't really know the words to any Limp Bizkit song. So, this is...
Zoom to the 6. We go fix with this Limp Bizkit mix. Dude, I could still probably pull off almost every word to that album. Almost.
10 seconds.
And why?
Join the Rob Brown Lockdown on Twitter. Tweet at The Rob Brown Show on the Upstate Sports Leader, ESPN Upstate.
All right, so Zoe asked the question coming out of the last break, how often do first-round quarterbacks pan out? And I'm glad you did, Lonzo. It's almost like you knew what I wanted to talk about coming back in this hour or this segment of the show. So good on you. How often does it actually work to draft a quarterback in the first round? It is risky, to say the least. In the last 20 years, Lonzo, 59 quarterbacks have been drafted in the first round. Stab in the dark, how many of those have won a Super Bowl with the team that drafted them? Out of 59, how many won an SB with the team that drafted them?
I'm going to go with 3.
You were close, 5. Eli Manning did it twice with the Giants. Ben Roethlisberger twice with the Steelers. Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, and here you go, Lonzo, the elite one, Joe Flacco. Those are the 5. Eli, Ben, Joe, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes. Brady has some blame in that. A 6th-round pick by New England in 2000 with 7 titles. He has kept others from succeeding, so you need to factor that in. But Super Bowl victories or even getting to the title game are not the the overriding factor that I want to keep in mind. Let's look at it this way. How many times do you reach the conference championship game? Of those 59, Lonzo, how many have reached a conference championship game?
Well, we know at least 5.
Yep.
So I'm going to go 9.
19. So it's a little higher than you thought.
All right.
But that was my guess too. I said 10. I thought it was 10. 19. A 67.8% failure rate if you gauge reaching your conference championship game as the standard. Using that standard, it is a colossal disappointment that failure rate for first-round picks at all positions is 40%. At quarterback, it is damn near a 70% failure rate. So most of the quarterbacks that get to conference championships or Super Bowls, they don't do it with the team that drafted them, at least not in the last 20 years. You got to go further back than that to find the Peytons, et cetera, et cetera. It's just, it's not a thing that happens very often. Almost 7 out of 10 quarterbacks never reach the conference championship level with the teams that drafted them. And it's 89, 90% of quarterbacks do not win a Super Bowl with the teams that drafted them. They end up finding success later in their career after they've been shipped out. So with those numbers in perspective, I now ask you, Carolina Panthers fans specifically, but if your team is one of the teams that's in the hunt for a quarterback, does that make it less desirable for you to push for a quarterback in the first round? I am going to say, Zoe, despite the failure rate, I still want my guy, my team, my squad to jump up and find a quarterback. I still want my guy to go push, because even though you're talking about a 70% failure rate, you're not getting a whole lot better getting cast off quarterbacks from other squads. You are still looking at a 30% chance. If you said, Rob, you got a 30, there's 10 bags in front of you, right? 3 of them have $1 million inside of them, and the other 7 have dirty diapers inside of them. I got to tell you, Zoe, I'm still pushing, because I'd take the $1 million and be far more put off by not taking the chance than I would by then accidentally sticking my hand in a dirty diaper. All right.
I don't know. Those dirty diapers are rough. Trust me.
That's why I don't have kids. That is the number one reason I don't have kids is diapers. Number one.
Well, we all do it in some way or another. So the opportunity to teach the proper way is a great opportunity. No, I agree with you. You got to take the chance. Despite the stats, you still got to take the chance. I want my team doing it. I have no problem with the Panthers moving up wherever they need to if they believe that's the guy. And you got to trust in the coaches and trust in the process and see what happens. See if it pans out.
Hashtag the process. Yeah, I take the shot if I'm Carolina, because Teddy Bridgewater ain't going to do it for you. Look, I could see if Teddy BH2O came out there last year and was 10-6 and the but he ended up 0-8 in games where he had a chance in the final drive to make something happen. That's not good enough. Your chance to win $1 million is good, or $1,000. Wow, that'd be nice. Still got my analogy, man. Your chance to win $1,000 would be nice enough. In the $1,000 cash dash on ESPN Upstate, your keyword for this upcoming hour is bike. B-I-K-E. Like, if I get a grand, I won't have to ride my bike to work anymore. Text that keyword to 72881. for your chance to win a grand. 72881. Text it to that number. Text and data rates may apply in this national contest. Again, this hour's keyword is bike. B-I-A-B-I-K-E. The $1,000 cash dash on ESPN Upstate, powered by BetQL. Let BetQL's proven data and analytics help you become a better. Download the BetQL app today. Hour number 3, just around the corner on the Rob Brown Show. It's ESPN Upstate.
ESPN Upstate, WYRD Greenville, WORD Spartanburg.
Ooh, we got some text to clean up coming up out of the break. Braves baseball. Pablo Sandoval in the Braves blue. Gotta love to see it. So he pulls his life together this year. Don't know if you saw this, Lonzo, but our soon-to-be future guest. Oh, wait, let me close the ad. Dadgummit, why would you open what I'm trying to show?
Big chunk of dough. 11.
It's in Twitter trending topics, and
BetQL's proven data and analytics help you become a better bet. Download the BetQL app today. Warning.
And check this out.
For an official Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents being real. Yeah.
Real, unfiltered sports talk manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Locked down.
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Yeah.
Only on ESPN.
ESPN Upstate.
Text line 71307. A bunch came in during the last break. Here are a few of them at ESPN. Good Lord, please don't trade up for Justin Fields. Will be a bust. Jeff text in and says, give me Mac Jones over Justin Fields any day. Those are two separate texts, by the way.
I am curious if these people texting in just happen to be Clemson fans.
I mean, one said give me Mac Jones over Justin Fields.
Yeah, I'm just
attach a condition to it
because there's hatred involved there, and also the fact that that they just got their butts beat by Ohio State, which would make them not like Justin Fields. I'm curious what college team they pull for. That's all.
At ESPN, talking about quarterbacks that draft into the first round who don't make it, he said Russell Wilson should be on that list as well. I was going to correct, but then he sent in a secondary text that said, never mind, Wilson was a third rounder. Correct. There have only been 5 first-round quarterbacks in the last 20 years to win a Super Bowl with the team that originally drafted them. There have only been 19 of the 59 that have made it to a conference championship game. At ESPN, Rob, you deal with children's dirty diapers so they can change yours when you get older. Well, I don't have a response other than what can I say, Lonzo? I'm selfish. I like my free time and the ability to do whatever I want, whenever I want, without having to worry about any consequences.
I am looking forward to that, and hopefully by then the Depends company will make superhero Depends so I can, have a nice selection.
At ESPN, I love how the sound for the money always interrupts Rob. Lonzo, you doing that on purpose? No, we just have a set time that has to go. And it's easier to just kind of flow out of the conversation.
So yeah, I am doing that on purpose. It's not my fault that, I'm required to do it at that time.
Correct.
So.
And at ESPN, from now on, you must attach all your team to all text. New rule. So this texter, Zoe, is saying that when you text in with a take, you must attach your team name to said take so that we can judge if there is any bias attached to it.
I'm not requiring that. I'm sure you're not requiring that because let's face it, the ones that text a certain way, if it's a sentence, you can almost always tell who they pull for. But if you want to do it, go ahead.
Yeah, there is every now and then. There are some of those texts that come through that you're like, oh yeah, all right, I know where you're saying that. I get it now. And look, there are show hosts around the country that allow, and this happens traditionally more within markets that have a front running home team. If you're when I was in Jacksonville,
yeah, good thing we're not in one of those, huh?
Not one of those. When I was in Jacksonville, like if you were on the radio in Jacksonville, you were a Jags fan. End of discussion. You were a Jags fan. Didn't mean you couldn't come after the team. Didn't mean you couldn't criticize them. Didn't mean you couldn't beat them up a little bit. But if you were in Jacksonville, you were a Jaguars fan. That was the front end of the conversation. I'm going to say this, and look, I understand, Lonzo, that this puts us off to a lot of people in the area, right? There are a lot of people in the area who run to a competitor station here in the market because those guys are all Clemson guys. That's just what they are. And they don't hold back from them. They are just Clemson fans through and through. And you can tell on the radio that these guys are Clemson homers. And I get it, man. They're a Clemson station. Now I'm going to tell you this. We are not an anybody in particular station. We are not an anybody in particular station. We are just a sports talk station. That's what we do. Yes, we love when the teams in our area do well. We love when Clemson and South Carolina and Carolina and the Hurricanes and the Falcons and the Hawks and Furman and Wofford and USC Upstate and all these other schools and pro organizations, we love when they are doing well. It helps us. It boosts us. And we don't actively root against any of them. But as I have said on this show many, many times, before and after Lonzo got here, when it comes down to it, our job is not to tell you the sunshine and rainbows wrapped around your program. Our job is to give you our opinions about your program based on what we see, our past experiences, and our thoughts, etc., etc. So, yeah, if you are tuning in because you want to hear how great your team and your program is, you're going to be disappointed. That's not what we do here.
There might be other shows on the station that you may want to listen to them instead.
Maybe.
Because they may take care of you if that's what you need.
Maybe. But for the most part, our station is not here to kiss up to and fanboy for any particular franchise or program. If there is a problem within the Clemson program, we are going to call it out. If there is a problem in the South Carolina program, we are going to call it out. If there is a problem with the Panthers, with the Hurricanes, with the Hawks, with the Braves, or with any of the other programs in our listening area, we are going to call it out. And that is not, they just hate my team. It has nothing to do with that. I promise you, there is a better than 85% chance that I don't care about your team at all outside of what I need to know about them to talk about them on the air. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm being the bad guy here. But when you call in, there's a 90% chance I don't care about your team enough to hate on them. Except the Atlanta Falcons. I do hate on you, but that's because it's funny. Outside of that, I got no reason to hate on anybody. I do have a reason to be objective, to be neutral, to bat right down the middle, not to spin any wheels, not to kiss up, and not to kick anybody while they're down. Like I said, we talked about the story with Deshaun Watson right now. I'm going to be honest with you. There have been a handful of people who have emailed or reached out to me and said, Rob, it's unacceptable that you are not defending Deshaun Watson. I will not be listening to your show any longer. Well, then my show's not for you. Our show is not for you. And I'll tell you the truth, likely a good chunk of our station's not for you. That's not to say I want anybody to leave. Of course I don't. That would be dumb of me. I want everybody in this freaking area to be listening to our show and our station. Of course I do. But if your reaction to analysis, thoughts, criticism is, you should be nicer to my team, you should be nicer to my guy, then this probably isn't the show for you. And that's okay. Not everything is for everybody. And I, as somebody who watches 5 to 8 hours of professional wrestling a week, am not the person to judge whose tastes are good and bad. But if you don't like this show, you have bad taste. All right? That just is what it is.
I have nothing to add to that.
Yeah. That's just what it comes down to. That's just what it comes down to. We are not here to kiss anybody's butt, and we are not here to kick anybody when they're down. And by the way, with all of that being said, Lonzo, what do I give out to basically start and end every segment that we do on this show?
The phone number.
Yes. So if you truly believe that I am kicking you while you're down, if you truly believe that I'm being unfair to your team, that I'm being unreasonable about your team, well, call in. Tell me why. Debate it. Discuss it with me. That's why we give out the phone number 11 times a show. Because we welcome that. We invite that. That's the goal. If somebody texts in, if Lonzo says, hey, Justin Fields, as he said earlier in the show, is a guaranteed first ballot Hall of Famer, and you disagree, we give out the phone number.
I did not say that.
If you disagree with Lonzo, call in and fight him. If you disagree with me, call in and discuss it with me. If you disagree with us, call in and discuss it. That's the reason the show is an open forum. The show's not a closed forum. It's not a monologue. It's not me sitting here in the chair talking at you for 3 hours. It's talking to you. It's talking with you. So that's what I got. That's all I got to say about that, as the great Forrest Gump once said. All right. Let's take a break. 844-GSP-ESPN. 71307 is the text line. Here's a couple of texts that have come in. Let's see. Zoe, when Fields flops in the NFL, I don't want to hear jack about the Clemson game anymore.
Well, first of all, you don't put stipulations on me. So I will talk about that forever.
You're not my supervisor.
Yeah. And the Panthers are my NFC team, so I want them to succeed. So whatever it takes to get the guy that's going to make them win, I want that to happen. I just happen to like Justin Fields. I also, this is going to shock people, I like Trevor Lawrence too. So if they went up after Trevor Lawrence, good, because that means the team's got a chance to be good. Not a guarantee, but a chance. So, but as far as me stopping talking about what Ohio State did to Clemson, that's never going to happen because you never stopped talking about how Ohio State had never beat Clemson. So I have license right now.
License. At ESPN, sorry, Rob, my full of poop diaper take was from a U of SC fan. And then ESPN, I didn't even know there was a competing station. Bleep 'em, Clemson sucks, from a Gamecock fan. Y'all just bringing out the guns today. Bringing out the big guns today. At ESPN, how much money do I need to pay you to get you to just destroy Clemson every show? Clemson sucks. End of text. I don't know, Ted DiBiase. You stroke the check, I'll tell you if it's enough. All right? I work in radio. It is what it is. At ESPN, you know what? I can't. God dang it. You know I can't read that, texter. You know I can't read that. It's hilarious. As a 36-year-old man with the mind of an 8-year-old boy, hilarious text.
I hope it was mean-spirited and directed at me.
It was not.
It was
a question. Nope. It was a statement about the mascots of the two women's basketball teams that played last night, Oregon State.
Yeah, you probably, that's enough. That's enough.
Correct.
You gave enough for us to have an idea where the direction was going.
Correct. And it's going exactly where you thought it was. That is correct. Quick break. When we come back here in just a minute, conspiracy theorists around professional sports for years have said that referees have had it out for their team. Well, one referee let us in, and then in the third segment, and he doesn't know this yet, but in the third segment of the hour, Lonzo is going to call Tom Brady's phone number and see if we can get Tom Brady on the air. We let it go for a couple of days to let old TB's text line get cooled off a little bit. But in the third segment, Lonzo is going to call Tom Brady to see if we can talk to him on the air. All that coming up in this hour of the show. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It's ESPN Upstate.
You're listening to the Rob Brown Show. Let the game come to you, no matter where you go. In Anderson, Clemson, Greenville, and Spartanburg. ESPN Upstate is always streaming on the radio.com app.
AutomotiveMap.com presents your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update, powered by the Score.
I don't agree with that because if I were to do this, and I will if you require it, he probably will answer just because I don't want him to, which is what you're hoping for.
Exactly what I'm hoping for. We did it with Drew. He didn't answer, and I thought, you know what? We're going to hold off until Lonzo comes back, because if the GOAT answers the phone, it's going to – oh, we're making – by the way, we're dialing it on the air. Like, we're dial tone ringing voice.
I just want to point out, and Drew wouldn't have known this, and I'm not trying to be that guy, but we're not allowed to do that.
That's who?
Intercom, FCC, I believe it is a rule. I'm almost positive it's a rule that you're not allowed to cold call like that unless you tell them. And I think even the latest rule, even if you tell them, hey, you're on the air, you're not supposed to do that.
Even if they gave out their number to be contacted? Like publicly?
Well, I guess that does make a difference.
Yeah, I mean, he put his number on social media and literally just said, call me or text me. He's not going to answer, for the record.
Well, I just want to put it out, because he's probably already broke that phone too. But I just want to put it out there that, I just, and take that thing down. Take it down.
I took it down, Lonzo. You don't have to leave. Can't hear you.
I'm eating, but I don't want to eat on camera. But thank you.
JB, I am a Limp Bizkit fan. I do believe in the limpness of the biscuit. Again, if you played chocolate starfish in the hot dog flavored water right now, I believe I'd get 80 to 85% of the words correct still. In fact, I think I downloaded that album on my Spotify at one point.
$30 seconds.
10-4. Latest mock I just saw J.C. Horn going to the New Orleans Saints, and I don't hate that.
He's not messing around. Real, unfiltered sports talk on the Rob Brown Show, ESPN Upstate.
All right, the Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is ESPN Upstate. The NHL had a major problem come to light last night. And before I get into it, I will commend the NHL for handling it appropriately. Referee Tim Peel, who is 54 years old and was expected to retire at the end of this year, was caught on a hot mic in the second period of the Nashville Predators game last night against the Detroit Red Wings. Predators forward Victor Arvidsson was called for tripping Red Wings defenseman John Merrill in the offensive zone, even though replay showed that Merrill embellished the fall to help draw the call. Peel made the penalty call from around center ice, about 20 feet away from where it happened. There were 12:42 remaining in the second period, and the Nashville broadcast mic was still on. Tim Peel was caught on the hot mic saying that he was actually looking to call. In fact, I've got the audio for you. Here is what the hot mic sounded like last night from official Tim Peel when discussing the penalty that he called against the Preds just inside, just a few minutes away from halftime. Oh, wait, and of course I did not unmute my computer first, so let me try that again. I'll get that. Guys, I've only been working from home for a year now. You've got to expect me to make some mistakes. Anyway, here's that call on the hot mic.
It wasn't much, but I wanted to get a penalty against Nashville early in.
And then the light cut out. So if you missed it, here it is one more time.
It wasn't much, but I wanted to get a penalty against Nashville early in.
It wasn't much, but I wanted to get a blanking penalty against Nashville early. The call came with 15-4 left in the second period. That hot mic picked him up at 12:42 remaining in the second period, so about 3 minutes later. Now, Nashville would go on to win the game 2-0. Both teams were whistled for 3 penalties, and the Preds took a fourth for putting the puck over the glass in the third period. So, the reason that this story intrigues me as much as it does is because for years and years and years and years and years and years and years, when fans have said, oh, this official has it out for my team, my response has typically been, hey, no, they don't. No, they don't. No, they don't. They're not going to risk their job. They're not going to risk their career over blowing one penalty to impact one game. They're not going to do it. There's too much risk there. It's not going to happen, except for now. And granted, it's only one case, but now we have one case of an official clearly stating that he, quote, wanted to get a blanking penalty on Nashville early, end quote, meaning he absolutely had a desire to impact the outcome of that game, and I have a problem with it. Referee Tim Peel, however, has been fired by the NHL. Senior Executive Vice President of Hockey Operations Colin Campbell made the announcement Wednesday morning, say Peel would, quote, no longer be working NHL games now or in the future. Peel had refereed 1,334 games entering this season. That number would have ended up approaching 1,400 or greater by the end of the year, depending on his playoffs, if he was to be there. Now he will officiate no further games in the National Hockey League. We talked about this early, Zoe. We've had a couple of people request us to bring it back up, so I wanted to retouch on it. Basically, to me, it comes down to this. The NHL, the NFL, the MLB, the NBA, college sports, every single organization that does not grade and track the performance of their officials is in the wrong. They ought to. These officials ought to be graded out on the calls they make, the reasons they made them, the calls themselves. Every flag should be looked at and evaluated, and referees ought to be given a grade, and there ought to be a minimum expectation set for officials. You're not going to convince me that in 1,330 some odd games of his career that this is the first time that Tim Peel had ever wanted to just give a team a penalty, regardless of the reason that he gave it to them. Now, I understand that there are going to be some places, there are going to be some situations where an official may use the threat of a whistle to try to cool off the game, especially in hockey. You got guys getting chippy early, you got guys chirping at each other. You might want to show, hey, if you guys get into it too far, I will put them on the power play as a punishment, but it should not be something that happens a lot, which is why I don't expect perfect grades out of officials. But Zoe, if this doesn't spur the major organizations, the MLS, the NBA, the MLB, NBA, NHL, NFL, if it doesn't spur the major organizations to start grading out officials to make sure that this kind of crap isn't happening in games, I'm going to be pretty damn upset about it, to tell you the truth.
I don't know. Did Tim Donaghy change things? Did other referees that have been did they really change things? Maybe it changed for a while, then it just goes back to the way it is. I do have a question, though, as someone who listens to, records, manipulates, whatever, audio for a living. where did this, you said hot mic, where did this recording come from?
This came off of the Nashville Predators regional broadcast of their game, the local broadcast of the game.
So so it was a crowd mic that caught this. I'm just trying to figure out how they caught this audio.
It just, from what I read, and I've read through it a number of times, it came off of a hot mic. According to the New York Post, a referee, so it was caught by a ref-worn microphone where, and usually these officials have their own toggle switch on their mics, so they can turn their mics on and off. He clearly just forgot to turn his microphone off, and then it was picked up before that mic cut off.
Okay, the main reason why I was asking that question, because if it was someone like at the radio station who caught it and they decided to divulge it, I mean, that's one thing. Or if it was someone in the crowd, if they actually had a crowd, was able to capture it. Now you're looking at, there's going to be some people, more than likely, depending on if this goes away or not, when the crowds do come back, and they're starting to come back, will try to find a way to use a microphone to record the referees to see what they're saying. And you got to wonder, will there be meetings throughout the sports going, hey, let me show you the proper way to turn your mic on and turn your mic off, and don't say something stupid. Here's an example. If you screw up, you get fired.
100%. 100%. I have no doubt there's going to be extensive.
Because you have to believe that this isn't the only guy who says stuff like this.
Not at all. And I'm sure a lot of this has, well, look, this came to light because the guy left the mic on. All right. This came to light because the guy left the mic on. This wasn't like, oh, a parabolic mic on the side of the floor picked it up. Nope. This guy just left his mic on like an idiot. I'm sure there are conversations like this between referees all the time.
Yeah. Because if I'm the guy holding that parabolic microphone, I am trying to get that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting whatever angle I can to get the direction in there to try to pick that stuff up. Will there be an escalation of that for people trying to show that this happens more often and get more referees in trouble? Because if you do that, I mean, what happens? Then you lose probably some really good referees, and you get replacement referees, and we know what happens with that.
Let's start with, I hope so. I hope there are. I hope more people do check in on this. In fact, I got to tell you the truth. I don't see any reason why referees shouldn't be permanently mic'd up anyway. And I'm not saying you have to feed that to the team in game, because that might obviously impact the game. But I see no reason why these organizations shouldn't have every mic strapped, or every ref strapped with a mic, and those mics should ever be cut cold. I want to know how and why calls are getting made to make sure they're being done correctly.
Well, I don't fault the whoever was running the board and caught that and decided to release that. I don't fault them, because if I'm that guy, if I'm running a game and I hear something like that, chances are I mean, that's a story, and you've got to get it out there. And that's a big deal, him saying that. But I still would like to hear the entire context of what he said. And I still think it's a little more understandable, and it's a little more excusable if he says that he threw that, he called that penalty because they were starting to get out of hand. They wanted the players to know, this is how we're going to call the entire game. I think it's acceptable if you do that. Maybe not with that language, but still, is this a case where there was more to this clip and they just took that part so they can make this into a story?
Sure. I agree. I think every mic, in fact, we just had a texter on our text line, 71307, start text with ESPN. I believe it should be mandatory that every official has a post-game press conference and have to answer for their calls just as players and coaches do. Look, I'd be fine if they just have to explain it to a league for the league to stay honest. And obviously this demands some level of integrity from the league, which LOL, good luck with that. But yeah, I think every ref in every sport should be look, wireless mics and receivers. I think my band got 5 of them for like $200. All right. Which for an NFL game is what? 2 tickets? 2 tickets. You can strap every mic every ref, with a wireless mic that lets us hear everything they say throughout the duration of the game. There is no reason for that not to be happening at this point. The technology is easy. It's cheap. It's silly not to, especially now that we know for a fact that there are officials who will try to impact the game with calls.
Well, let me ask you a question. You don't have to answer it. Obviously, you don't, because you have refereed games before.
Yep.
Have you ever thought, well, I need to throw a flag the next time I see a penalty, maybe something that I would normally let go, to let these kids know that, hey, they need to back it off a little?
Yes, and that's why I would call for a grading system as opposed to I demand perfection, right? Especially in a sport like hockey, where things get chippy and guys get chatty all the time. Especially for a game like hockey, I would 100% understand an occasional call that the official could come out and justify it with, hey, look, 13 and 37 had been board checking each other and cheap shotting each other, and things were going bad, and I felt like I needed to inform them that I was not there to mess around. Wide receiver 37 on the red team, when he was coming off the line, he was constantly jamming the defensive back and hitting him in the face in order to make a move. I'm not going to stand for that. So maybe you get a little ticky-tack with some fouls that are fouls, but you wouldn't ordinarily call them in the process of the game. But that's why I want a grade-out system, so that there is room for error and judgment as opposed to demanding perfection, Zoe, because I do understand that element of it. And look, I had one guy, buddy of mine, when we were talking about this in the first hour, text me and go, wait a minute, Rob, how do you know that Nashville just wasn't getting chippy early in the game? And that's exactly what this guy did, right? He said Nashville was getting chippy and I wanted to get an early penalty so they know I wasn't going to stand for that. Well, then fine, answer for that, though.
Well, see what it comes across as, it's okay to do it. You just don't say that you're doing it. That's how this sounds. Because you're saying that even you understand when reffing that sometimes you have to do that to slow the game down, to let these guys know to not do that. So if he had just did that and didn't say anything, he still would be in the NHL.
Yeah, I mean, look, I get it, and it's not an easy thing to do, especially when you've been out there. It's been out there. You've been out there. You've played out there. But it's a bad look. It's a bad look. It really is. And again, and that goes to the texter's point. If Tim Peel came into a Zoom meeting after the game and got called on it, hey, man, why'd you say that? Why'd you do that? And he said, look, 34 in yellow and 26 in red. We're getting into each other a little bit, not necessarily enough to do a foul, but certainly enough that I thought it was going to take the game off the rails. And I felt the need to prove that I was willing to call a penalty. And hockey's a little different, though, especially because in hockey, look, if you get a penalty called on you in hockey, it ends up sending a guy to the bench for 2 minutes and you're playing 5-on-4, right? As opposed to football where like you might throw the 5-yard ticky-tack and tell him I got more where that's coming from. Doesn't really impact the game as much. So hockey's a little different in this case, but I do think we should be demanding that we hold more accountability to our officials so this kind of stuff doesn't happen again. 844-GSP ESPN, text is 71307. Start your text with ESPN. Quick break. When we come back, Zoe is going to try to talk to his idol, Tom Brady. That's next on the Rob Brown Show. It's ESPN Upstate.
You're just minutes away from a shot at $1,000.
Let me know when you're ready for the number, Alonzo. For Tom Brady.
Give me a moment. I'm busy.
Are you going to be busy all the way to the end of the break?
No, I won't do that. All right, give me the phone number.
It is 415-612-3732. 1737.
I'm not commuting anymore. Where do I really want to live? Well, you handle life's questions.
I don't know. I'm trying to decide if praying that he doesn't answer is a good prayer or not. Because for the show, it would be very entertaining. But I also am still concerned with what I brought up earlier about, I mean,
if he didn't give his number out, I would think we'd probably have to be concerned about it. But since it is super public because he literally posted it on his own social media, and I'll take the heat if something comes of it.
You know, I've had hosts say that before. It doesn't really mean anything because this is when it comes down to, and this is inside baseball. As a sports station, it's not ironic. If it comes down to it and someone has to go over something like that, it's the producer that's going to take the heat. Whether the host says they're going to take the heat or not is still ultimately my responsibility. So,
well, then
by the way, I'm going to. I'm going to do it. I just want records out there, audio records of me showing that I have concerns about it. But in the end, you're right. I could make the call and say no, but I'm going to make the call because you asked me to make the call. And your argument about him giving his number publicly and asking for people to call means it's not technically a cold call, I guess. If you're saying, hey, call me, then you can't be surprised when I do it.
Right.
So, and yes, I'm sitting here working through all the angles right now as we're talking. So,
are you working through the angles to protect your job or to avoid having to tell Tom Brady, I hate you to his face?
First of all, I would never do that. That's disrespectful. I would say I dislike with all my being the school, the college that you played for, and therefore I will judge you forever because you went there.
Wait, do you dislike Brady solely because he's a Michigan man?
Oh no, that just started. That was the beginning of it. The cheating, the breaking of the phone, the dishonesty, all that kind of stuff. Am I jealous of him and his life? No. That's awesome, man. That's the American dream right there. Good for him. But it's the other stuff. And they're getting ready to fight in this Alabama and who's Alabama? Really? Yeah.
Alabama, Maryland.
Oh yeah, yeah. And
guess I'm clicking.
And the one girl you don't want to fight with is the one that was just tangled up.
The one that plays for Maryland.
No. The girl from Alabama, she's
22, yeah.
Yeah, that's a big girl.
Maryland's got a girl out there that's
well, number 2 was the one that was going with her. And you can't fight if you got those kind of pigtails. It just doesn't work.
I don't know, man.
They're about to throw hands. And unlike the guys basketball players, I bet they know how to fight. Won't be that slap stuff. It'd be like straight rights and stuff.
Hair up, square up, son.
Throw out tees. Make sure your mic's not on. 30 seconds.
Samsung Galaxy A51 for $199. Plus, get the $45 unlimited talk, text, and data plan with no contract on America's best networks for up to 50% less. Tune out the nonsense. Tune in to Straight Talk. Real, unfiltered sports talk. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas. This is the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg, and everywhere on the radio.com app.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It's ESPN Upstate, Rob Lonzo and you. Time for a segment I have been looking forward to all week long. We are going to, once again, call Tom Brady's phone live on the air to see if we can get the GOAT ... so far to answer the phone and chat with us. Our efforts have proved fruitless thus far. Will today be the day I figured we'd save it? We'd wait until Zoe was back. We'd wait till he was comfortable in a rhythm, because if there's one thing I want, it is for Lonzo to ruin the chances that we ever get Tom Brady on the air for a second interview, because Brady answers for the first. So Zoe, I'm going to hand it over to you, bud. Let's see if we can get the GOAT so far to join us live here on the Rob Brown Show.
So since I was on vacation, I have no idea how this was done before. I mean, so was Drew speaking over the microphone while doing the phone thing? I have it on. I know how to do all that, but I mean,
he had the dial tone up on the air. He dialed the number. It rang. Make sure you throw the one out front. We got now Tom Brady's voicemail was full, so we didn't get to leave him one, though I absolutely will if we get the dial tone. But yeah, you can ring him up and then pop that bad boy on. Yeah, there we go. All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Will today be the day? Fingers crossed, America. Let's see if we can talk to the GOAT. It's ringing. Good sign. Not going straight to the dial tone. Come on, Tom.
The mailbox is full and cannot accept any messages at this time. Goodbye.
0 for 4 on Tom Brady with the full voicemail. 0 for 4 on calling Tom Brady with a full voicemail.
I was going to say, hi, can I speak to Thomas Brady? Can I speak to Thomas Brady?
Mr. Brady, we've been trying to contact you about your car's extended warranty.
Hi, Mr. Brady. We see that recently you have moved to the state of Florida, and we have some swampland that we would like for you to invest in. And I will tell you, it's going to turn into an awesome casino in the future if you're willing to spend a little capital on this. In the end, you're going to make a ton of money on this. I don't know if you like money or not, but I can guarantee you're going to make some cash on this deal.
Man, selling Tom Brady on the Swamp Turn Casino. Nope, unfortunately, no luck with the GOAT so far. Zoe, I'm not going to tell you that we're not going to try again tomorrow.
That's fine.
And the day after that.
It's fine. You know what? And if we were to get him on the phone and you were to throw me under the bus, I've been there before, and it's not exactly a comfortable place, but I will not back down to Tom Brady. And here's the thing, on purpose, I will not back down, so I would never have to call him again. And if I were to lose my job over being disrespectful to
the GOAT,
to someone of that stature, I'm okay with that.
I love the concept. I wouldn't throw you under the bus, Lonzo. But I would absolutely be more than happy to recite quotes of Lonzo's about Tom Brady to Tom Brady to see if you would stand behind them in the face of Thomas Christopher Brady.
And you know what? I would not blame you for doing that. It would be very entertaining, but you probably would be surprised because, again, I would not back down from Tom Brady.
I would say, Tom.
And I would also tell you this, and you will be surprised by this, but I bet Tom Brady would laugh about it because he gets the Ohio State and Michigan thing. He gets that. He played there. He gets that.
So you're saying Tom Brady's cool?
No.
There you go.
No.
Thinks Tom Brady's cool.
No.
He can roll with the punches. I like that.
I didn't say that. I wouldn't say Tom Brady's cool any more than I would say Tinky Winky's cool. I just would not do that.
I would say, Tom, Lonzo over here felt like perhaps you went, pardon the pun, overboard with your trophy celebration. How would you respond to that accusation? I'll let you speak directly to Lonzo.
And then I would have no problem with saying, Tom, and this is more fodder for that show for men. Alcoholics Anonymous is a wonderful organization. They've helped a lot of people. Perhaps maybe you should think about checking into something like that because, first of all, you need to recognize that you have a problem, like the entire world does when they saw what you did being disrespectful with one of the most prestigious trophies of all time. And I realize you've won several of them, so maybe it diminishes the value to you, but not to other people. So perhaps maybe call somebody. I can set you up with a phone number, a counselor, somebody, and just do me a favor and just talk to them a little bit.
Such a hater. Such a hater. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, Twitter trending topics. Zoe tells me what's trending on Twitter. I give you 30 to 45 seconds about what I know about it. And if I don't know anything, I make it up. That's next on the Rob Brown Show. It's ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your Amazon.
You think Brady would answer if we told him we were calling about his extended car warranty?
Absolutely.
My hope the whole time was that he would see an ESPN number calling him and would think like, oh, man, I must have had an interview or something, and would answer. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a century mark alert. The Maryland basketball team is smoking Alabama right now, 91-54. They are threatening the century mark in this one with 4.5 to go in the first half, but a steal by the Crimson Tide and a layup on the other end is going to delay that just a little bit. 91-56 now with 4:13 to play, but the century mark alert is on for the Terps. Fear the turtle, baby.
By the way, when we call out, I don't think it shows up as ESPN Upstate. Because sometimes when you call a guest or something, they don't answer because it doesn't say that and they have no idea who it is. And we have to send a text or something to tell them, hey, this is we're calling.
I think when Diesel's called my phone, it shows up that way.
Really?
Yeah. It may be line by line, though.
So I've been told in the past that it doesn't work that way. It could have changed. I've been here a long time. It's possible.
We can do the experiment.
Let's see if I have time. No, I was making sure we have enough time.
3 ball, no good. Putback is good. We need 5 more points from the Terps.
I absolutely love my dog, but the constant shedding, not so much. But then I got a Swiffer Super Pet Kit, and it is amazing. These super thick cloths pick up a crazy amount of hair. Just look at all that. And that was from just one swipe.
Little baby hook falls and the foul. The 100's going to happen for the Terps. The fighting turtles.
Swiffer Sweeper Pet Kit. Because shed happens.
Out of Crabland.
If you don't answer or look at your phone, then you can't. Yeah.
Then no, it did. Hang on, let me look. No, it did not show up that time.
Now, if he called you from his office, then it probably would show up. But if you're calling, because these lines are different, the calling lines are different than the actual office lines.
I had forgotten that I told you to call me.
That attention span is killer, man.
Well, Maryland needs 3 more to get to the hundo mark, which I don't think I've seen in women's basketball in a hot minute.
They got 2 minutes to do it.
Yeah. They're gonna get there. I mean, they're like 4-4 in their last 4 possessions.
They did it, by the way.
Oh, you're ahead of me by about half a minute.
Did a 3. It's kind of messed up.
Spoiler alert. Oh, off a bank shot. The bank is open, girls. That's a hundo for the Terps. Poor Alabama. It's the 7th time Maryland got to a hundo. The 3rd 100-point game in program NCAA tournament history. Damn.
The question is, has South Carolina played Maryland this year?
Not that I am aware of. But they might be on a Destiny-inspired collision course if Maryland's going to play offense like this. They're throwing down everything they shoot up.
Here we go. It is time for Twitter trending topics where I tell Rob what is trending on the internets, and he will tell us what he knows about it. This isn't trending, but I'm going to say it anyway. 100.
It's trending because the Maryland Terrapins, the Lady Turtles, have just dropped the century mark on Alabama in the 2nd round of the NCAA women's tournament. The Terps have upped the Crimson Tide 100-60 with inside of a minute left to play here. It is what do we say, Zoe? The 7th 100-point game for the Lady Terps this season, the 3rd time they have hit the century mark in tournament history for the program. I got to tell you, man, the 2 seed in Maryland looks as dangerous as any team in this women's tournament so far. They may very well be headed for a collision course with Dawn Staley's Lady Gamecocks. If they're going to score like this, it's redonk.
If you're Alabama, are you mad?
No, I mean, what are you going to get mad about? You gave up.
Well, because when you're that far ahead, I don't know. They may have the bench may be in there right now. I mean, I don't know. I've had a game on, but I'm doing something else, so I haven't been paying attention. But maybe the bench is in there and they're doing that. I mean, if the bench is in there, I'm not getting mad. And I guess in the end, if we can't stop you, that's on us, I suppose.
Yeah, if you don't want them to score 100, don't let them score 100. You can play defense.
All right, the next thing that is trending is Randy Johnson.
Randy Johnson is trending because it was either yesterday or today. I want to say it was today. Was the 20-year anniversary of Randy Johnson throwing heat and getting a birdie. That would not be on a golf course, ladies and gentlemen. This was the anniversary 20 years ago when Randy Johnson threw high up heat and it hit a dove in midair. And the dove exploded. It always blew my mind. If you go back and you watch that clip, Lonzo, what you will notice is you see an explosion of feathers and the dove's body comes out the other side completely featherless.
By the way, I don't know if you want to see this or not, but watch it slow down and you can see how devastating that was. I mean, sped up, it's just like, what in the world was that? And then they figured out what it was. Oh, man. When it happened, and it was 20 years ago.
Exploded that bird.
It was everywhere. I mean, everywhere you were on TV, you would see that. And it's just, imagine getting hit with that as a batter.
Randy Johnson, the big unit, brought the high heat. And
I'm trying to remember. Maybe it was John Kruk, I think. And it might have been an all-star game. And yes, even though I'm not a baseball fan, I still watch baseball on occasional, that he was up in the batter's box and Randy Johnson threw a ball and then he just started back off and he was just laughing the entire time like, I don't want any of this. Nope. That's how I would have been any time.
Like normally you stand up there and you protect your masculinity, not if RJ's bringing high heat. You back up, you stand in the back corner of that box and you pray.
Yeah, and you don't feel bad about it because anybody else would do the same thing.
I stood in a virtual batter's box. You know what a virtual batter's box is? They project a screen and they can put a picture up on that screen going through the motion. And when he comes over the top, the ball comes from behind the screen. So you can get a look like it's a real pitcher. Anyway, there was a guy that used to play, Blake Dean was his name. He played his ball at LSU. When I was in Destin, Blake opened up a baseball center in Crestview, Florida, north of Fort Walton, where I grew up, and he put a virtual batter's box in there. So when he opened it, he invited me to come up and, break out the spikes and see if I could still ball. So he put me in the virtual batter's box, and he said, I'm going to give you a couple, around the 70, 75 mark, which is like a college changeup, and see if you can take it. And then while the news crew was filming, because he thought it was hilarious, so he cranked it up to 101 miles an hour and brought the heat at me. I'm really glad that I wasn't wearing the white baseball pants because I may have needed a check. Dude, a 100-mile-an-hour baseball is terrible. Even with this thing precision laser locked into where there was no chance it was going to hit me, I dove out of that box as if there was a live hand grenade on home plate. It was horrifying.
You know what? And it also lets you know how scary it. That's got to be so scary. I can't believe. Well, the fact that they are accurate at that speed and can pretty much throw a ball wherever they want. Because how often do balls really get away from these guys?
And I'll tell you the other aspect of it is it shows you just how damn impressive it is when a guy can get a hold of a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. You have legitimately the snap of your fingers to make the decision to swing or not. You got to have decided to swing before you can even tell that the ball has been thrown. So these guys that can get a hold of a 100-mile-an-hour heat and cork it, it may be the hardest thing to do in sports.
All right, we have time for one more before the keyword, and that would be not what you think, and I'll tell you why later. The Great Khali.
The Great Khali. I'm assuming the Great Khali is not going into the WWE Hall of Fame, is he?
He is going into.
He is going in.
But should he? You know what? This would be a great debate for the Fight Club tomorrow.
I mean, I'm not saying you should hang on to it and bring it up, but I need some time to think about that.
Well, there you go.
Solid maybe.
You've got an entire day to think of it.
Solid maybe to determine whether or not the Great Khali deserves a spot in the WWE Hall of Fame. Well, it's your time to earn a spot on the list of people who have won $1,000 in the $1,000 cash dash on ESPN Upstate. We're up to 3 that have won off of ESPN Upstate so far. Your chance to be the 4th by texting the keyword for the 3 o'clock hour, wallet, 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 to 72881. Text it to 72881, the word wallet, powered by BetQL. Let BetQL's proven data and analytics help you become a better. Download the BetQL app today. Text and data rates may apply in this national contest. Again, this hour's keyword is wallet, WALLET. Text it to 72881 for your chance to win $1,000 in the $1,000 cash dash on ESPN Upstate. Mark Ryan and Diesel are up next with Offside. Stay tuned for that. Have a great day, y'all. We'll be back. Try harder tomorrow. Don't drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. This was the Rob Brown Show. For Zoe, I'm Rob on ESPN Upstate. Later. Thanks for watching on the stream, guys. We'll